Chapter 2390. They didn't expect the old palace master to make a move at this time. Moreover, he stood firmly on Lin Xian's side. This let them know that the new palace master's position was probably unshakable. The other hall masters' eyes were gloomy. Then, they quickly warned their subordinates not to cause trouble. They couldn't afford to offend him. They could still hide. At most, they would carry out their own mission and ignore him. Pei Yuan, Hui Chen, and the other hall master's sons also felt their scalps go numb. Especially Pei Yuan and Xiaohui. They felt as if they had walked through the gates of hell. A matter that shocked Immortal Palace quickly calmed down just like that. The speed at which it calmed down was shocking. They couldn't believe it. Starry Hall, Hui Dao, Xing Tian, and the others also took a deep breath after hearing the news. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. This matter was similar to what he had guessed. It seemed that his position as palace master was stable. Of course, no one rebelled, but it didn't mean that he was free of trouble. Most likely, those people still obeyed his orders on the surface, but disobeyed them on the surface. However, there was no rush. He could take it slow. He believed that one day, the entire Immortal Palace would submit to him. It was time to move on to the next step. Lin Xian stood up, his eyes flickering. Xing Tian gave him a list of 3 geniuses. One of them, Hui Dao, had already been subdued by him. As for the remaining 2, he was going to meet them now. Green mountains and clear waters. It was quiet everywhere. A beautiful figure strolled in the forest, as if she had walked out of a painting. It was a woman with a beautiful face. She wore a long aqua-green dress. There were terrifying monster kings around, but they crawled on the ground, not daring to move forward at all. They seemed to be afraid of the aqua-green woman. However, after walking for a while, the beautiful woman stopped in her tracks. She frowned. That was because a figure appeared in front of her. "It's you." The beautiful woman frowned, because she recognized the figure in front of her. It was the new palace master of Immortal Palace. She didn't care about the other party before. But after the incident with Yang Jian, she specially found information about the new palace master. There was a portrait of the other party in the information, so she could recognize him at a glance. "Peacock, come with me." The person in front of her was Lin Xian. He looked at the beautiful woman and said indifferently, "Go with you. Just based on the fact that you killed Yang Jian, this is not enough." Peacock shook her head. "Defeat me and I'll go with you." "Okay. Make your move," Lin Xian said calmly. Although he knew that Peacock was powerful, he was not afraid. Wang. Peacock waved her jade-like hands, and the wind and clouds changed. A green palm slapped over, like the overturning sky seal, pressing down from the sky. The space around Lin Xian froze in an instant. Clearly, this was an ultimate technique. It seemed like the other party knew that he wasn't weak, so he used a powerful ultimate skill right from the start. Wang. Facing the giant green palm, Lin Xian waved his sleeve. Black flames surged out and danced. Whoosh! The energy palm above was burned to ashes. "Show me your true strength. Let me see how powerful the legendary Peacock is," Lin Xian said coldly. "You'll see." Although the attack was broken, Peacock was not surprised. She knew that the other party was not weak, since he was able to become the temple master. However, she had absolute confidence in herself. In the next moment, she formed a seal with her palms. A green light appeared behind her back, and the shadow of a peacock appeared. The beautiful tail slowly spread out. It was like a fairy fan. It was exceptionally beautiful. Wang. However, this beauty contained an unparalleled killing intent. Peacock spreading its tail. With an angry roar, the huge tail swept. Moreover, she had the power of the bloodline, which was even more terrifying. Boom! 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 Those monster kings who were swept by the green light suddenly exploded, turning into a bloody mist that surged in the sky. Nothing could withstand this light. Among them, more light swept toward Lin Xian. Lin Xian's body swayed as he quickly dodged. However, the light seemed to have locked onto him and followed him closely. Whoosh! The ancient dragon abyss sword was swung, and a shocking sound was heard. The long sword cut off a large piece of green light, but the entire world seemed to be completely covered. Chapter 2391. You can't escape. Although you're the palace master, I won't show you any mercy, Peacock's face was unusually cold and emotionless. Her green eyes once again emitted a shocking light. Is that so? Can't escape? You're making a judgment too early. The show has just begun. Lin Xian didn't dodge at all. He smiled. Then, the sword aura on his body exploded and swept across the 9 heavens and 10 lands. The terrifying sword aura rushed out and slashed in all directions. It collided with the green light that filled the sky. Suddenly, heaven and earth boiled and huge cracks appeared in the sky. The sword aura was several times stronger than before. On the opposite side, Peacock frowned when she felt the biting cold sword aura. She didn't expect him to have hidden his strength. However, she didn't think that he could resist her bloodline power. After all, he had the bloodline of Mahamayuri. In front of her, the sword aura rolled like an ocean and swept across the sky. The green light scattered endlessly. Peacock's shadow fluttered in the wind, and its terrifying tail kept swaying. Their attacks continued to collide in the sky, causing the entire sky to shatter. Humph! Lin Xian snorted coldly. The terrifying sword aura exploded again. Boom! The green light was cut in half by the sword, and the sharp sword aura slashed towards Peacock. What? He became stronger again. Peacock's expression finally changed when she felt the change. Her body kept swaying, and at the same time, the shadow behind her was also emitting light. Finally, it blocked the sword aura that filled the sky. However, her expression was extremely solemn. She didn't expect the opponent's attack to be stronger than hers. It seemed that she had to use that move. She knew that the opponent was very strong, so she had to use a stronger trump card. The shadow behind her swayed its tail, and there were thousands of black spots on it that looked like eyes. At this moment, there were even more mysterious runes that were flickering nonstop like a mysterious eye. Thousand Demon Eye. Peacock's palm kept forming seals, and the black spots turned into the Demon King's eye. It spun in the sky and emitted a mysterious power. This is a soul attack. You can't block it. Peacock's voice was cold. Indeed, this was one of her great divine abilities, an extremely powerful eye divination technique attack. Perhaps even a peerless almighty would not dare to resist this eye technique of his. You want to compete with me in ocular techniques? Lin Xian smiled. If he wanted to resist physical attacks, he would have to expend a lot of energy. After all, the other party's bloodline was extremely powerful. However, if they were to compete in eye techniques, he would be able to determine the victor in an instant. Sure enough, in the next moment, a golden light appeared in Lin Xian's eyes. Then, he quickly activated his heavenly secret god eyes, forming a golden vortex to resist the 1,000 demon eyes. Wang! What? How could this be? Seeing the other party's golden eyes, the peacock's eyelids twitched wildly. Then, a great fear rose in her heart. Not only that, but her soul was also trembling, as if it was being sucked into a strange space. Damn it! Eye technique. He actually knew eye technique as well. In an instant, Peacock's face turned incomparably pale. She roared madly, and activated the 1,000 demon eye with all her might to resist. However, the heavenly secret god eyes was an extremely terrifying eye technique. Although the 1,000 demon purple eye was terrifying, it was still unable to resist the heavenly secret god eyes. Pfft! Peacock took 3 steps back, and spat out a mouthful of blood. Her face was extremely pale. Her 1,000 demon purple eye also quickly disappeared. On the other side, the golden light in Lin Xian's eyes dimmed, and then returned to normal. You've lost, he said in a deep voice. Peacock wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth, her face filled with unwillingness. What is your eye technique? Damn it! I can't accept this. You just happened to counter me. Very well, I'll give you another chance to attack. Lin Xian was not angry, nor did he care. Because even if he did not use his eye technique, he could still defeat the other party. Hearing this, Peacock quickly swallowed 2 black pills to stop the damage to her soul and heal it. Then, she took a deep breath and unleashed all the power in her body to the maximum. The shadow behind her became more solid, as if it was a real divine beast. Boom! Then, the 2 of them launched a fierce attack, the terrifying light illuminating the entire sky. Boom! A loud dragon roar came from Lin Xian's body. The sword aura in the sky turned into a giant dragon, fighting with the shadow of Peacock. The momentum was extremely terrifying. Dragon. Peacock was shocked. She could not believe it. She felt an immense pressure from the dragon-shaped phantom. Even the shadow behind him began to tremble. In the end, the shadow of Peacock was suppressed by the real dragon, her face pale. I've lost. Peacock sighed. She realized that she could not defeat her opponent, be it soul attack or physical attack. However, she accepted her loss wholeheartedly. Because her opponent's strength was too strong, there was no luck at all. Don't worry, you won't regret following me. Lin Xian smiled. Finally, he had subdued another powerful fighter. Peacock's strength could be said to be very strong. Thinking of this, he smiled happily. Now there was only one prodigy left. Ghostly, an extremely terrifying assassin king. Lin Xian brought Peacock back to the Starry Palace. Then he adjusted his body to its peak and set off again. This time he must subdue the last prodigy. When Lin Xian arrived at the place given to him by the Star Pagoda, he frowned, because he realized that there was no one around. However, he was not anxious, because Xing Tian had given him 3 places. These 3 places were the places where Ghostly often appeared. Since he was not here, he should be able to find him in the other 2 places. As expected, Lin Xian found him in the 3rd place. However, Lin Xian did not see him, but when he stepped into the 3rd place, goosebumps appeared all over his body. A faintly discernible killing intent locked onto him. Buzz! Suddenly, a ghostly figure appeared behind Lin Xian. The sharp dagger in his hand slashed down quickly. Whoosh! Lin Xian's muscles all stiffened, and with a boom, the great dragon sword soul in his body began to operate wildly, a terrifying power surging out. There was an intense collision. Bam! The figure quickly retreated, and at the same time, disappeared into the sky. How terrifying! He was not weaker than the assassins of hell. As soon as they exchanged blows, Lin Xian felt that this malicious spirit was indeed terrifying. The other party's assassination and concealment skills were very impressive. However, he had a way to see the other party. Sure enough, in the next moment, the prodigy activated his ability, and golden light surrounded him in all directions. Soon, he saw a faint figure appear in front of him. Found him. Chapter 2392. In the next moment, Lin Xian decisively made his move. One slash. Countless rays of light shone, then turned into an earth-shattering force that spread forward. These sword chi formed a fan shape, completely sealing off the area where Ghostly was. Boom! Ghostly was also shocked. He did not expect his opponent to be able to lock onto him in an instant. He felt the space around him instantly solidify, as if there was an ancient demonic mountain pressing down on him from the sky, with an incomparably sharp aura. Whoosh! In the next moment his body swayed, and he suddenly exploded, tearing the void apart. He quickly dodged and avoided this terrifying sword wave. However, Lin Xian's second slash still came. A large black crack appeared in the sky, as if thunder was descending, and the terrifying sword light once again enveloped him. Humph! Ghostly snorted coldly. He did not expect his opponent to be able to discover him again and again. This time he was surprised again. But so what? Even if he did not hide, his strength was still very terrifying. Sure enough, in the next moment, he waved the black dagger in his hand, and shot out rays of black light that slid across the sky. Boom boom boom. The two collided. Like thunder from the 9th heaven, the sound pierced through the void, and the space around them was torn apart, and the entire ground was shaking rapidly. What a powerful attack! After that attack, Ghostly was even more shocked, because he realized that his opponent's attack was too sharp, even more terrifying than him, the king of assassins. What a terrifying sword chi! What a terrifying sword Dao! Ghostly's expression was solemn, but he did not admit defeat. Whitebone banner. Whoosh! In an instant, the world changed, and the scenery around them changed instantly. The entire space was as dark as ink. White bones were everywhere, and a terrifying murderous aura shot into the sky. For a moment, it was as if they had come to the Ghost Dao world. Ghostly was not only a terrifying assassin, but also a terrifying ghost cultivator. At this moment, when his Whitebone banner appeared, it was earth-shattering. Countless evil spirits charged towards Lin Xian, and instantly enveloped him. Lin Xian's body exploded with an earth-shattering force, and the terrifying sword wave swept in all directions, destroying all the darkness. Whoosh! But at this moment, a sharp light pierced towards his back. The terrifying aura, even Lin Xian's expression changed. Assassination techniques. Lin Xian was shocked. He didn't expect Ghostly to make a move at this time. Boom! A gigantic goddess of ice appeared on his body. The terrifying power of ice spread out in all directions, freezing everything. As expected, Ghostly's figure slowed down, and his body was covered in frost. He was about to be frozen. Seeing that his assassination had failed, Ghostly roared and retreated again. In the next moment, he waved the white bone banner again. Endless resentful spirits roared, and the terrifying ghostly shadows made people's souls tremble. Lin Xian's body was surrounded by an icy aura. The ancient dragon abyss sword in his hand slashed forward. At this moment he erupted with unparalleled combat strength. With a sweep of his sword, a large number of vengeful spirits were annihilated. Not only that, Lin Xian also used the demigods and semi-devils, his speed reaching the extreme as he charged towards Ghostly. Ghostly relied on his movement technique to move, but the demigods and semi-devils were truly miraculous. Finally, Lin Xian found an opportunity. He stretched out his left hand. An endless ice condensed into an ice scepter that flickered in the sky. Instantly, thousands of miles were frozen. Ghostly was also frozen. Although it was only for an instant, it was fatal to him. Buzz! In the next moment, the ancient dragon abyss sword slashed down mercilessly. Pung! Ghostly raised the dagger in his hand and the white bone banner to block. With a clang, he was forced back a few thousand meters, and he spat out large mouthfuls of blood. The blood in his body churned nonstop. This sword had directly injured him. Do you still want to fight? Lin Xian asked coldly. I haven't lost yet. Ghostly gritted his teeth and waved the white bone banner again. At the same time, his king's domain rushed out, covering the entire sky. Buzz! Cold winds blew in all directions, and countless vengeful spirits crawled out. The ground beneath their feet cracked open, and many white bone creatures emerged. Endless resentful spirits circled in the air, and it was all very terrifying. Puff! Ghostly aura filled the sky, and the terrifying army of vengeful spirits quickly charged over. Some even spat out poisonous fog, and the entire space was dark. This scene was too terrifying. It was as if millions of resentful spirits were moving out, and they firmly locked onto Lin Xian. Lin Xian let out a long roar, and the destruction sword formation covered the surroundings. Streaks of blood-red sword chi rushed up, turning into a sea of blood in the air, roaring in all directions. Boom! Boom! The sea of blood and the mountain of corpses collided, and a shocking rainbow erupted. The scene between heaven and earth was tragic. At the same time, Lin Xian's fingers kept forming seals, and the Hell's Ice Lotus quickly flew out, spreading in all directions. At the same time, he also shot out black fire dragons, roaring in all directions. The flames roared, and the ice spread, slaughtering the millions of resentful spirits. It's useless, my flames completely restrained you, Lin Xian said coldly. On the other side, Ghostly's face was gloomy. He could see that it was indeed so. If this continued, his white bone banner would probably be destroyed. Therefore, in the next moment, he snorted coldly and stopped attacking. The white bone banner also quickly entered his body. Not fighting anymore? Lin Xian asked. On the opposite side, Ghostly said coldly. There's still one last attack. If you can take it, I'll admit defeat. As he said that, his domain rolled quickly, an endless black gas spread. Then, a black dagger appeared in mid-air, wrapped in endless black gas. The Shadow Blade. It wasn't a real weapon, but a strange world of death that Ghostly connected to through his own secret technique and domain. It was summoned from inside. Although it was an illusion, it was extremely terrifying. Buzz! In the next moment, Ghostly held the Shadow Blade. The murderous aura on his body suddenly erupted, and it was several times stronger than before. Buzz! With a swing of the blade, a terrifying light swept forward. This attack was too terrifying, especially the murderous aura contained in it. It could definitely make an almighty collapse in an instant. Even a peerless almighty would not dare to take it head-on. Not only that, as the shadow blade was swung, a terrifying crack appeared in the void. Chapter 2393. What's that sword shadow? It doesn't seem to be a physical weapon. Could it be the same type as my shadow blade? He didn't expect that the other party would have a divine ability cultivation method similar to his. More importantly, the strength of the other party's phantom was much stronger than his. The aura it emitted made him feel suffocated. In the next moment, Ghostly took a deep breath and didn't attack again. Instead, he knelt on one knee and said respectfully, "Greetings, Temple Master." He had long recognized the other party. It was just that he wasn't convinced before. Now that he was defeated by Lin Xian, he was convinced of his loss and was naturally willing to submit. Looking at this scene, Lin Xian smiled. He knew that he had already subdued Ghostly. At this point, the three great experts that Xing Tian gave him had all been subdued. Of course, there were countless geniuses and experts in Immortal Palace. The rest still needed to be subdued slowly. Let's go. Lin Xian waved his hand and left with Ghostly. In the following days, he lived in seclusion. In addition to continuing to understand Immortal Palace, he began to use Immortal Palace's resources to cultivate Immortal Palace's cultivation methods. As for Xing Tian, Hui Dao, and the others, they were in charge of training the 500 young cultivators that he had subdued. Of course, there were also matters big and small in Immortal Palace that required Lin Xian's help. However, Lin Xian only needed to make a decision. As for the specific matters, of course, it was up to his subordinates to do it. Young Master, according to the news from below, the Great Xia dynasty has discovered an ancient tomb. It seems to be an ancient tomb passed down by a saint. It has caused a stir in the entire Zhongzhou. Not only that, but the eastern wilderness, western desert, southern ridge and northern plains sacred grounds have also sent out experts. They're all here? Hearing this, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. He didn't expect that a saint's tomb would appear in Zhongzhou. Indeed, many of them had come. Moreover, the recent news of the nest of 10,000 dragons in Zhongzhou had attracted those sacred grounds and peerless sections. Even the clan of the ancients had come. Young Master, should we go and take a look too? Xing Tian asked. Of course. The saint's tomb is full of good stuff. Also, I want to meet these sacred grounds and great sects. Go and prepare, gather some people. That's right, the black demon ship should be more or less repaired. Lin Xian asked. After he became the palace lord, he handed the black demon ship over to Immortal Palace and had the people inside repair it. After all, the black demon ship was a pseudo-heaven step artifact. It had already been repaired. Furthermore, its might had also been increased. Okay. It seemed that it was time to show off. Lin Xian's lips curled into a smile. In the next few days, Xing Tian began his preparations. He had to go. Hui Dao Peacock and Ghostly were also tagging along. Out of the remaining 500 people, he picked out 100 elites. Apart from this, there were a few attendants and elders from Immortal Palace, all of them older generation figures. There weren't many deacons, only a few dozen, and only 3 elders. There were only 200 people in total, which was indeed not a lot. But every one of them was an elite. Moreover, they were only going to check out the situation first. If they were really going to enter the great saint's tomb, or encounter other dangers, they would have to leave. They could transfer people at any time. After all, they also had branches in the Grand Xia Empire. Whoosh! Lin Xian stood in front of a treasure vault. There were 2 golden doors in front of him, exuding a barbaric aura. He pushed it open forcefully and entered. Rays of light were emitted from inside. It was very dazzling. It was full of treasures. This was Immortal Palace's treasure vault, and it was one of them. Lin Xian could use all the resources in there, but he wouldn't use all of them. After all the experts in Immortal Palace needed the resources in there. Lin Xian took some divine crystals and some materials. Among them, he took a few formations that had already been set up and handed the remaining materials to the dark red divine dragon. During this period, the dark red divine dragon had not been idle. It had been excited ever since it obtained Immortal Palace's treasure vault. It had read a lot of ancient books in there. They were all related to formations, which could be used to improve its attainments in formations. The formations that it created now were much more powerful than before. Lin Xian had not stopped cultivating during this period. Coupled with the resources from Immortal Palace, his cultivation had also improved by leaps and bounds. Now, he had reached the peak of early 7 stars. In addition to the materials and formations, he also took 2 spatial scrolls. This was equivalent to a small spatial teleportation formation. It could shatter the void and bring them out of danger. Finally, Lin Xian took a cultivation method and planned to study it when he was free. This was a heaven-rank cultivation method called the 5 Elements Sword. It could be cultivated with 5 types of sword qi, which could be converted at will. It could be said to be both offensive and defensive, and its power was also very terrifying. After receiving the 5 Elements Sword, Lin Xian left Immortal Palace's treasure vault. In addition, Hu Yidao, Peacock, Ghost Li, and the 100 selected warriors also used their contribution points to exchange for resources in the treasure vault. 2 days later they set off. In the sky a black ship floated. It was incomparably dark, as if it had crossed time and space from the demon world. This was the Black Demon ship, and it was a modified one. Not only were the damaged parts repaired, but its power was also more terrifying than before. Its appearance had also changed. It was more majestic than before, and there were even runes of Immortal Palace on it. Let's go. Lin Xian's body swayed, and he took the lead to soar into the sky. Behind him, Xing Tian and the dark red divine dragon followed. Behind them were Hu Yidao, Peacock, and Ghost Li. There were also 3 elders and a few dozen deacons. Apart from them, there were the 100 young warriors. They did not expect to be able to explore the ancient tomb with the palace master this time. They were extremely excited. As for the remaining 400 people who were not selected, they worked even harder in their cultivation, so that they could be selected next time. The Black Demon ship was very big and luxurious. There were all kinds of palaces, secret cultivation rooms, and places for sightseeing. Therefore, even if they had to fly for a month or 2, they would not feel bored. Moreover, these people were prepared to go into seclusion almost as soon as they boarded, cultivating and increasing their cultivation strength. Xing Tian, when we reach Ninely Dynasty, remind me that I have something to do. Lin Xian said in a deep voice, a hint of sharpness in his eyes. Yes. Xing Tian nodded. Lin Xian entered the room, set up a formation, and then sat down with his legs crossed. He slowly opened the jade scroll and began to study the 5 Elements Sword. Lin Xian only had the 3 attributes of ice, fire, and lightning. He did not have the water, earth, or wood attributes. However, that was not a problem. His great dragon sword soul could instantly simulate the attributes of the 5 elements, so he did not have to worry about that. Next, he began to comprehend the 5 Elements Sword. Chapter 2394. On the other side, Hu Yidao, Peacock, and Ghost Li were also cultivating in seclusion. The 100 people on the ship were assigned different tasks. Some were responsible for guarding, some were responsible for maintaining order, and some were responsible for scouting the surroundings. Apart from that, there were also some servants with low cultivation bases on the ship. They were responsible for cleaning, cooking, and so on. The 3 elders and the deacons began to study the various information they had obtained. After all this time, not only the Immortal Palace, but many peerless sects and sacred grounds had also come. Moreover, not only Zhongzhou, but the powerhouses from the Eastern Wilderness, Western Desert, Southern Ridge, and Northern Plains had also come. It could be said that this was a flourishing period. However, the competition would probably be extremely intense. After about 10 days, Xing Tian came over and said in a deep voice, "Young master, we've arrived at the Ninely Dynasty." Hearing that, Lin Xian put away the jade slip, stood up and walked out of the door. Then he went to the deck and looked down. He was finally back. A few months ago, he was chased by countless people from here and engaged in an intense battle. If he did not have so many trump cards, he would have been killed long ago. Now that he was back, he naturally wanted to take revenge. The governor's mansion, the Tang family, the Tai dynasty, and the War tribe, he would not let any of them off. However, he had to deal with the Tang family and the people from the Ninely dynasty first. Go to the governor's mansion first, Lin Xian ordered. Soon, these people turned the ship around and sailed in the direction of the governor's mansion. Qianshan City. The incident last time had gradually subsided, and Qianshan City had returned to normal. However, on this day, a huge spirit ship appeared above Qianshan City. It slowly descended like a dark cloud projecting below. Soon, countless people raised their heads and looked at the sky, exclaiming in surprise. That was because the aura on the black ship was so terrifying that they could not breathe. This scene naturally attracted the attention of the governor's mansion. Immediately, a few powerhouses from the governor's mansion rushed up. That was because they did not know who the other party was, and why they had come to Qianshan City. Therefore, they had to find out. Because of the incident with young Master Qianshan, they did not dare to be careless anymore. Just as they were about to snort coldly, a black palm shadow descended from the sky. It was like a huge palm that covered the sky, slapping down fiercely. No. Below, a few city lords' mansion cultivators roared crazily. They all fled. They didn't expect that the other party would launch a direct attack right from the start. What was he up to this time? Starting a war with the city lord's mansion? Who was it? How could he be so bold? Boom! Several martial artists wanted to escape, but they could not escape at all. Under this immense power, their bodies split apart and turned into a bloody mist. That enormous black palm blasted towards the city lord's mansion with an even more ferocious attitude. Heavens, what happened? Everyone in Qianshan City was shocked when they saw this. The weaker ones were directly pressed to the ground by this aura, while the stronger ones turned pale, and their bodies trembled. Someone actually dared to make a move against the city lord's mansion? This was too shocking. The warriors in the city lord's mansion also came out one after another. They could feel a powerful aura descending towards them. Soon, they raised their heads, and when they saw the huge hand that covered the sky, their pupils shrank. Quick! Activate the defensive formation. The city lord's mansion's array formation lit up, and rays of light shot into the sky. The protective formation appeared, completely enveloping the entire city lord's mansion. This formation emitted a bright light, forming the most powerful defense. Clang! The black hand that covered the sky collided with the formation, causing a thunderous collision. The surrounding void cracked open, and lightning from the ninth heaven descended, bombarding all directions. All the warriors in the city were knocked to the ground. This scene was truly too terrifying. Damn it, who was it? Those warriors in the city lord's mansion also felt the world shaking, and their faces were gloomy. However, in the next moment, they screamed because cracks had appeared on their protective formation. And more. Ka. The sound of shattering rang out, and then more than half of the formation cracked and shattered. The terrifying palm slapped down again. Inside the city lord's mansion, the ground cracked open, and the buildings turned into ashes. Countless warriors turned into a bloody mist. This blow directly smashed half of the city lord's mansion. A series of screams sounded, and a huge roar rolled, and the airwaves rushed into the sky. Those elders roared crazily. Damn it, who is it? How dare you attack my city lord's mansion? In the deepest part of the city lord's mansion, the city lord and a few elders also rushed over. The city lord's face was gloomy, and he gnashed his teeth in anger. Half of his city lord's mansion was destroyed, and it was unforgivable. No matter who you are, you're dead meat. He was really mad. One had to know that he was not only a powerhouse, but he was also the city lord of Qianshan City. Moreover, his city lord was personally conferred by the Nine Li dynasty. Whoever dared to make a move on him was ignoring the authority of the Nine Li dynasty. This was declaring war on the dynasty. He couldn't understand who it was that was so audacious. But no matter who it was, the other party was dead meat. Humph! A cold laugh came from the black ship above. Who am I? Why? Have you forgotten me in such a short time? This voice carried endless coldness. Hearing this voice, everyone's scalp went numb. The city lord and other warriors below also frowned, because they realized that this was a young voice. Had they offended anyone? Immediately, a chill rose in the hearts of several elders, seeming to have thought of something. They said tremblingly, could it be that the kid came back? What, that kid? Are you talking about that little demon king? Impossible, right? Wasn't he being hunted down? These people discussed quickly. However, in the next moment, their eyeballs almost popped out, because they saw a young figure descending from above, suspended in midair. It's really you. When they saw the other party, they cried out in surprise, because they discovered that it was really that demon king. Not only did the other party not die, but he was also full of vigor. Even the aura on his body was stronger than before. God, the other party is here for revenge. Damn kid, I'm going to kill you. The city lord was furious. Killing intent surged from his body, his black hair fluttering, and his entire person was incomparably hideous. There was no choice, it was this kid in front of him who killed his son. Not only that, he even killed countless experts of his city lord's mansion. How could he tolerate this? In the next moment he roared angrily and quickly rushed to the sky, his body erupting with endless light. A terrifying aura surged, turning into a surging river, directly rushing towards Lin Xian. Seeing this scene, all the warriors in Qianshan City cried out in surprise. Chapter 2395. Heavens, this is too terrifying. They knew that the city lord was a peerless almighty. At this moment, when he attacked with all his might, it was really terrifying. That vast aura made them feel like they were suffocating. Can that kid block it? Who knows? That kid is very terrifying. Back then, so many powerhouses chased after him, but he escaped. Now that he's still alive and kicking, it shouldn't be difficult for him to block it. Discussions sounded one after another. Above, Lin Xian looked at the city lord and narrowed his eyes. Then, a terrifying aura erupted from his body, and sword chi filled the sky. Puff! Sword chi flashed, and the aura emitted from Lin Xian's body was like a divine rainbow, cutting through the void. The terrifying aura directly slashed forward. What a powerful sword chi! The city lord was also shocked, and his pupils constricted. He did not expect the other party's aura to be so strong. No wonder he could escape the pursuit of so many powerhouses. But so what? This time, I must kill him. Boom! The city lord's body erupted with a piercing cold light. On his glabella, there was an incomparably terrifying rune. It was like a small sword with peerless killing intent. With this small sword as the center, countless mysterious runes flickered around the city lord, covering heaven and earth. When this terrifying scene appeared, many warriors in Qianshan City were shocked. They looked at this scene and widened their eyes. Is this a killing formation? Heavens! The city lord is actually using his body as a formation. This is too terrifying. Using his body as a formation. Hearing this, Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes. Sure enough, looking at the other party's appearance, he had indeed formed a terrifying formation. However, it was different from ordinary formations. Ordinary formations were controlled by warriors. But this time, the city lord directly turned into a formation. It could be said to be incomparably strange. Kid, be careful. That guy doesn't seem to be simple. Above, on the black demon ship, the dark red dragon also transmitted a voice. He was a formation master. If he said it was not simple, it naturally meant that the formation was incomparably dangerous. After Lin Xian heard, he snorted coldly. No matter what kind of killing formation it was, he was not afraid. In the next moment, he pulled out the ancient dragon abyss sword and slashed out. The sword chi was like a rainbow as it flashed rapidly in the sky, forming countless sword lights that pressed forward. The sword chi that filled the sky seemed to have turned into a world of its own. It was extremely terrifying. Humph! You're no match for me. Scarlet feather killing formation, destroy! The city lord roared, and the red rune on his forehead trembled rapidly. The Tao inscriptions in the surroundings spun rapidly, forming streaks of divine rainbows that shot into the sky. Boom! Boom! The collision between the two was extremely terrifying. A crack that was close to 10,000 meters wide appeared in the sky, as if the sky had been split in half. It was extremely terrifying. Large amounts of rain and lightning poured down from the crack. Wang! Lin Xian snorted coldly, and exploded with an incomparably cold light. This time, he was here for revenge. He had no intention of wasting time with the other party. Therefore, he immediately activated his heavenly secret god eyes. Not only that, But the great dragon sword soul also emerged from his body, forming a sword shadow, which he grasped in his hand. Floating light. The left eye of the heavenly secret divine eyes turned into a floating light that surged forward. Wung. The soul energy passed through the formation and directly affected the city lord. The city lord's body trembled, and his eyes were filled with confusion. Pfft. In the next moment, he bit his tongue and forced himself out of the illusion, spitting out large mouthfuls of blood. However, it was too late. At this moment, Lin Xian waved the dragon sword in his hand. Boom! The sword slashed the city lord's body, and the terrifying scarlet feather killing formation was mercilessly torn apart. Damn it, block it for me! Seeing this, the city lord roared crazily, and the spiritual energy in his body quickly circulated. It even started to burn. The sky was filled with red light, and countless runes shone, forming a solid barrier. However, it was useless. Under this sword, everything was turned into ashes. Pfft. The city lord was also sent flying. The 2 layers of armor on his body were directly broken, and his chest caved in. A large amount of blood spilled out like snow. His body landed heavily on the ground below the city lord's mansion, creating a terrifying crater on the ground. What? The city lord was defeated. Everyone was stunned, including the martial artists in Qianshan City. The martial artists in the city lord's mansion were dumbfounded. How was this possible? The city lord used his ultimate move, the scarlet feather killing formation. He turned his body into a terrifying sword formation, which could be said to be extremely terrifying. He could also be invincible against a peerless almighty. However, he was easily injured by the other party's sword. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have believed it. Damn it, how was this possible? The city lord crawled out of the crater, covered in blood. His expression was extremely ugly. He didn't expect the other party to be so terrifying. Especially that sword shadow, which made his hair stand on end. Moreover, the other party was actually a soul power expert, and that eye technique was impossible to guard against. Humph. Lin Xian snorted coldly and looked below. He waved the Dragon Abyss ancient sword again, and a terrifying sword chi would be released. What? He still wants to fight. The expressions of the people in the city lord's mansion changed, and even the city lord was serious. He didn't expect the other party to still want to attack. Did he really want to kill him? But what a joke. If he killed him, would the Ninely dynasty let him go? So in the next moment he dodged and roared. Damn brat, stop. Stop. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Give me a reason to stop. You can't kill me. I'm the city lord of Thousand Mountain City. I was personally conferred the title by the emperor of the Ninely dynasty. If you kill me, you'll be ignoring the emperor's prestige and challenging the Ninely dynasty's imperial power. The Ninely dynasty won't let you go. So what? Lin Xian's voice was cold, and he wasn't moved at all. Not to mention that he was now the lord of Immortal Palace. Even if he was alone in the past, he wouldn't be afraid of such a threat. One had to know that he dared to provoke the war race, and he dared to go against the Tai dynasty, let alone the Ninely dynasty. So in the next moment, Lin Xian attacked mercilessly. The dragon-shaped sword chi shone in the sky, and then the dragon tail swayed and rushed down, sky-shattering. When the dragon-shaped sword chi came close to the city lord, it directly shattered the sky. The entire void shattered, forming a terrifying black hole that enveloped the city lord. Boom! 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 The black hole kept getting bigger and bigger, spreading rapidly like a giant beast. The surrounding people of the city lord's mansion fled frantically. However, most of them were directly swallowed up. Not only that, the surrounding buildings, land, and space were completely swallowed up. The entire city lord's mansion became a black hole that was extremely dark. After a long time it slowly shrank, and there was nothing left in the original place, only a bottomless pit. The city lord's mansion was destroyed. The city lord was killed. The other martial artists in Thousand Mountain City looked at this scene, and their scalps went numb. They knew that this should be the end of the world, because no one had ever dared to be so bold. Lin Xian put away the ancient sword, stepped into the air, and came to the black demon ship. Let's go to the Tongue family. Chapter 2396. It was not until a long time after the black demon ship disappeared that the cultivators of Qianshan City dared to stand up. They looked at the deep pit in front of them in horror, not daring to speak for a long time. On the other side, the black demon ship flew at an extremely fast speed in the direction of the Tung family. A day later, the black demon ship stopped again. This was because they had arrived at the Tung family. The Tung family was not in any city. Instead, they occupied a spiritual mountain by themselves. After all, the Tung family was an invincible king clan. Their strength and status were much higher than the city lord's mansion. Therefore, they naturally occupied a better spiritual vein. In front of them, mountains were everywhere and surrounded by white fog. It was a fairyland. In the mountain range, there were countless palaces and pavilions. The surroundings seemed calm, but Lin Xian and the others could naturally feel that there was a terrifying formation inside. However, it was only the outer formation and could not trap Lin Xian and the others at all. Therefore, the black demon ship directly drove out and rampaged. When they arrived in front, a ray of light shot into the sky. However, it was difficult to resist the power of the black demon legacy. In an instant, the formation shattered and scattered in all directions like a mirror. Soon, the black demon ship flew into the depths of the mountains without restraint. Finally, they stopped. In front of them was a mountain gate. It was very majestic. Under the mountain gate, there were 4 disciples of the Tung family guarding it. At this moment, they felt this change and raised their heads one after another. Then their expressions changed drastically. Not good. There were enemies. They were too shocked. To be honest, an important place like a mountain gate would usually be heavily guarded. However, in the Tung family there were only 4 people. This was because they were very confident that no one would dare to behave atrociously in the Tung family. But now, the situation was beyond their expectations. One of them quickly soared into the sky and flew towards the mountains. It seemed that he was going to inform the others. The other 3 drew their sabers and swords and pointed upwards. One of them sneered, "Who are you? How dare you barge into the Tung family?" One slash. On the black demon ship, Lin Xian looked at this scene and shouted coldly. Whoosh! Hui Dao stood up. His figure flashed and he appeared in the sky. With a clang, the full moon saber at his waist slashed out. The saber light was hazy like a full moon, emitting a terrifying aura. In an instant, the majestic mountain gate below was split into 2 halves. Not only that, but the bodies of the 3 Ting family cultivators also split open in an instant, and they fell into a pool of blood. This saber strike was simply too astonishing. Not only was the mountain gate destroyed, but the ground was also split open. A huge crack appeared and extended inwards. It was as if a huge earthquake had occurred. Rumbling sounds could be heard. This finally caught the Tung family's attention. Suddenly, countless lights lit up in the mountains. One figure after another soared into the sky. It was accompanied by angry roars. Damn it, who is it? How dare you cause trouble in the Tung family? Countless silhouettes rushed out. There were at least a few hundred people. One could imagine how terrifying the Tung clan was. Damn it, the mountain gate was actually destroyed. These people soared into the air. When they saw the scene before them, their faces turned extremely ugly. Their mountain gate had actually been directly hacked apart by someone. This was a blatant provocation. In the Ninely dynasty, no one dared to provoke the Tung family like this. Damn it, who the hell are you? An old man shouted coldly. He looked at the pitch-black ship in front of him and frowned. This was because the aura it emitted was too terrifying. However, a cold snort sounded from the void. Where's your clan leader? Tell him to get over here and die. What? Tell our clan leader to get over here and die? Who in the world dares to say such a thing? These Tung family cultivators were so angry that their bodies trembled. The old man even shouted coldly, "Go catch him. Let's see what ability he has to say such a thing." Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 4 rays of light flew over quickly like a meteor shower. These were 4 mighty figures. At this moment they attacked together. 4 sky-covering hands enveloped the sky, wanting to catch Hui Dao. However, Hui Dao sneered. Streams of light flowed on his body, and the full moon scimitar in his hand emitted a terrifying light. Subsequently, he slashed out with his saber. The saber light flickered in the air, cutting through the void and slashing at the 4 sky-covering hands in the sky. Puff, puff, puff. In an instant, the 4 sky-covering hands were slashed apart. Not only that, but the arms of the 4 powerhouses were also directly cut off. The 4 mighty figures held their broken arms and quickly retreated. Their faces were filled with horror. Behind them, the Tung family's cultivators were stunned. Heavens! Who exactly is this young man in front of me? He actually cut off the hands of 4 mighty figures with one slash. Isn't this too terrifying? He's definitely a peerless genius. But which faction is he from? How dare he behave atrociously in our territory? They did not attack again. The old man took a step forward and snorted coldly. I'll ask you again, who exactly are you? The other party only sent a young man. However, the strength that he displayed was too powerful. He had to be careful. I'm the one who'll kill you. Hu Yidao snorted coldly and said coldly, I've said it before, tell your clan leader to get over here and die. You're courting death. Brat, don't think that you can behave atrociously here just because you have some ability. The Tung family is not a place where you can come to. The old man was furious. He quickly attacked. A fist pierced through the void and blasted toward Hu Yidao. The air instantly exploded, and a terrifying airwave surged. It did not look like a fist at all. Instead, it was like an ancient demonic mountain. The sound that came from it was too terrifying. It shook the world, causing it to tremble rapidly. Hu Yidao did not resist it head-on. His body swayed as he quickly dodged. In the sky, the terrifying fist followed his movements and chased after him relentlessly. Seeing this, Hu Yidao frowned and stopped in his tracks. His body emitted a terrifying light, and the full moon scimitar in his hand also erupted. Waves of light were so bright that people could not open their eyes. Buzz! With a swing of his saber, the full moon scimitar slashed forward and collided with the huge fist in the sky. A shocking earth-shattering sound erupted. It was as if someone had shaken the entire space. The sound was too intense, causing the Tung family's cultivators behind to tremble. Many of them were bleeding from their ears. In the sky, the terrifying saber light and the huge fist disappeared at the same time. Hu Yidao stood proudly. On the other hand, the Tung family's elder's face changed drastically. How's that possible? The fact that the other party was actually able to contend against him was simply too surprising. The other party was only a young brat, whereas he was a figure who had lived for thousands of years. Could it be that the other party is already so powerful? He did not dare to imagine. Nevertheless, 3 middle-aged men rushed over from behind. Their auras were also unparalleled. The 3 of them said together, Elder, we're here to help you. As soon as the 3 of them appeared, they charged toward Hu Yidao with powerful forces. Chapter 2397. Elder, let us help you. As soon as the 3 of them appeared, they charged toward Hu Yidao with a powerful force. At the same time, the elder attacked again. For a time, the 4 of them suppressed Hu Yidao. However, it was difficult for them to hurt Hu Yidao. At this moment, a cold snort came from the black ship again. 4 against 1. What kind of ability is that? I'll accompany you if you dare. Whoosh! A green figure appeared in the sky. It was a beautiful woman, wearing a long green dress. As soon as she appeared, a peacock appeared behind her and spread its beautiful feathers. Thousands of green divine lights shone like meteors, directly enveloping the front. Boom, boom, boom. The 3 middle-aged mighty figures were sent flying and vomited blood. The elder also kept retreating, but there was a huge shield in front of him that blocked the impact of the energy. Although he was not injured, his face was extremely ugly. Another young man has come. A young genius who is equally terrifying. Damn it, what kind of force is this? How can there be so many young geniuses? Could it be a peerless sect or a peerless sacred ground? Or perhaps some royal family? He could not think of any other family that could be so terrifying. However, the elder snorted coldly, and his face was extremely gloomy. Do you think you can beat the Tung family in terms of numbers? He was furious. Indeed, this was the Tung family's territory, and it was not that the Tung family did not have any powerhouses. Moreover, with so many powerhouses, he did not believe that he could not kill the other party. Soon, The Tang family's martial artists behind also rushed forward. Not only that, but there were even more powerhouses coming from all directions. They surrounded Hui Dao and Peacock. How dare you act so atrociously in the Tang family? You're courting death. Kill him, and let him know the power of the Tang family. Angry roars came one after another. Then the purple-clothed elder waved his hand, and immediately, all the powerhouses around him attacked crazily. Hui Dao snorted coldly, and his body emitted a terrifying saber light as he attacked crazily. The saber lights were like the Milky Way, slashing in all directions. On the other side, Peacock also used her bloodline power, and the shadow behind her became more and more powerful. The 1,000 devil eyes appeared, forming a terrifying soul attack. Many people were affected. He'll play with you guys too. Right at this moment, an icy cold voice sounded. Soon, a blurry shadow appeared behind the two old men. Puff, puff. Black light flashed and two heads flew up. The corpses of the two old men fell to the ground. Seeing this scene, everyone went crazy, a chill running down their backs. As for the purple-clothed old man, he was also roaring madly. Damn it, be careful, there's an assassin. They didn't expect that there would be such a terrifying assassin among them. It really shocked them. Sure enough, no one dared to be careless. They quickly activated their battle armors, and the defensive light in front of them completely covered their bodies. Wang, the third to make a move, was naturally ghostly. After he ambushed a few experts, he waved his hand and shot out the white bone banner rice. The white bone banner waved, and a cold wind blew in the surroundings. The world darkened. Countless vengeful spirits quickly appeared. There were even mountains of skeletons, and a terrifying army of death charging over. For a moment the world collapsed. It was extremely terrifying. On the black demon ship above, Lin Xian and the others sneered as they looked down. They didn't need to do anything at all. Hui Dao and the other two could handle it. Sure enough, about half an hour later, the world returned to normal. The Tang family's martial artists retreated one after another. Most of them were injured, and many of them were directly killed. Hui Dao, Peacock, and Ghostly stood in the void, and the aura on their bodies became stronger. The Tang family was just so. Peacock snorted coldly. Ghostly's eyes lit up. Not bad, not bad. This time, it'll be able to absorb a lot of powerful vengeful spirits. Indeed, he waved the white bone banner, and absorbed the souls and blood essence of those killed. On the opposite side, the Tang family's people had extremely ugly expressions. Especially the purple-clothed old man who was the leader. He was so angry that his body trembled. There was a saber mark on his body that almost cut off his arm. At this moment, he covered his wound and gritted his teeth as he asked, "Damn it, who are you people?" He was too shocked. 3 young men had beaten them to the point that they couldn't fight back. They didn't dare to imagine it at all. These 3 people are all top prodigies. What kind of force could produce so many terrifying young prodigies? I said, get your clan leader here to die. Hui Dao pointed his saber forward and said coldly, "Damn it. This is too much." The purple-clothed old man roared angrily. The surrounding Tang family's martial artists were also trembling with anger. A few of the old ones vomited blood. It was too sullen. The Tang family had never been provoked like this. However, they really couldn't win. Therefore, they could only ask for help from the family. Whoosh! The purple-clothed old man waved his hand, and a black rune quickly flew to the family. Boom, boom, boom. In the next moment, countless powerful figures rushed out from the family. Each of them was like a demon god as they stepped on the air. This time, all of the people who came were of the elder rank. Their auras were terrifying. At this moment, it was as if 100,000 mountains had shattered the void. This time, 10 elders came, and each of them was unusually terrifying. Especially the 2 at the front, they were even more valiant. They had definitely reached the level of a peerless powerhouse. "Great Elder, you're here." When the purple-clothed old man saw this, he was overjoyed. The other people smiled as well. They knew the Tang family was truly furious. This time they sent 10 elders at once. They thought that they could definitely suppress the other party. "Who are you? How dare you cause trouble in the Tang family?" The 10 elders looked around. When they saw the scene around them, Their faces were terrifyingly dark. Humph. This time, before Hui Dao and the others could speak, Lin Xian scoffed on the big black ship. Whoosh! His body swayed, and he quickly landed in front of them. The dark red divine dragon and Xing Tian were also with him. The others stood on the big black ship and did not come down. Nevertheless, as long as Lin Xian gave the order, these people would immediately make a move. Why? Have you forgotten about me so quickly? After Lin Xian arrived in front of them, he sneered. Hui Dao Peacock and Ghostly stood behind him respectfully. So this is our leader? Upon seeing this, the faces of the Tang family's martial artists changed. It seemed like the other party's leader had come out. Nonetheless, what shocked them was that the other party's leader was so young. They could not believe it. Chapter 2398. What? Damn brat. It's actually you? How could you still be alive? They were too shocked because they recognized each other. Wasn't he being hunted down by the war tribe and countless powerhouses of the Tai dynasty? How could he still be alive? Moreover, he has such powerful subordinates. Damn it, who exactly is this brat? They were extremely shocked. It seemed that the other party's identity was not simple. You recognize me? That's easy. Lin Xian sneered. Are you willing to kneel and die? Or are you prepared to be cut into pieces? I'll give you a choice. Kneel down obediently and I'll give you a quick death. What? You want to kill us? Hearing this, the cultivators of the Tang family were furious. The elders also snorted coldly. Brat, although I don't know how you survived, and I don't know what kind of power you have. However, you're too naive to attack the Tang family. Let me tell you, the Tang family is an invincible family. Do you think you can contend against the invincible kings of our family? The invincible kings are indeed very strong, but I don't need to contend against them. I just need to kill you. Where's your patriarch? Tell him to come and die. Lin Xian knew that the patriarch must have agreed to the pursuit of those powerhouses last time. Therefore, he wanted to kill the patriarch and the 10 elders in front of him. Only then would it be considered revenge. What? You want to kill our patriarch? You're courting death. At this moment an elder stood out. His body emitted a powerful aura. Terrifying energy surged in all directions. Brat, I'll kill you first. This was the third elder of the other party. His strength was terrifying, and he was almost a peerless powerhouse. At this moment he stood out with a monstrous aura. In the next moment he threw a punch. The terrifying power shattered the void and directly rushed towards Lin Xian, wanting to kill him. Sensing this power, the cultivators of the Tang family trembled, but their eyes were filled with excitement. This was because they felt that this power was not much different from that of a peerless powerhouse. You won't be able to resist. You're courting death. Since that's the case, don't blame me for being impolite. Lin Xian sneered and raised his palm. The azure dragon hand condensed in his hand, and countless sword chi surrounded his fingertips. In the next moment he slapped it. Boom! This palm contained the power of the great dragon sword soul, and was extremely powerful. Therefore, he was able to blast the terrifying fist away with a single slap. Not only that, the azure dragon palm enveloped the third elder, and smashed him into a bloody mist. Boom! Blood filled the air, splattering everywhere. Countless cracks appeared in the terrifying space, as a black hole rapidly spread out. Upon seeing this, the Tang family's martial artists were dumbfounded. What? The third elder was killed? He was killed by a single palm strike. How could this be? An expert who was going to become a peerless almighty was killed with a single palm strike? Who was this kid? They trembled at the thought. How could this be? Why was the other party so powerful? Was the other party already a peerless almighty? Damn it, I'm going to kill you. At this moment, the other 2 elders also roared in anger. They pulled out their swords and sabers, and the light on their bodies quickly erupted. However, Lin Xian snorted coldly. Golden runes flickered as he activated the soul-burning secret technique. Immediately, the 2 of them screamed. Ah! Ah! 5th elder! 6th elder! When the Tang family's martial artists saw this, they roared crazily. What did the other party do? How did the other party make the 2 elders scream crazily with just a glance? What kind of technique was that? Nonetheless, what shocked them was yet to come. That was because the fifth elder and the sixth elder's bodies suddenly stopped trembling. Their eyes were blank and had lost their luster. Bang! In the next moment, the two of them fell from the sky and landed on the ground, creating two deep pits. Elders! They roared crazily. Countless Taoists flew down and saved the two of them. However, their scalps went numb in the next moment. This was because the two elders had long stopped breathing. They were dead. The two elders were killed by a single glance from the other party. Oh God, they retreated crazily. Some of the more timid ones' legs went weak, and they even wet their pants. This was because this technique was too terrifying. They had never seen it before. This was probably how an invincible king killed someone. The other elders were also shocked. They widened their eyes in disbelief. Who exactly was the other party? They did not know that although it was just a glance, Lin Xian had used all of his strength. In addition to the power of the heavenly secret god eyes, he could naturally kill the two elders. What he wanted was to strike like thunder and completely shock these people. What do you think? Now, do you think him qualified to fight against the Tang family? Lin Xian said indifferently. Now the remaining elders, kneel down and ask your patriarch to come out, and kneel to accept your death. I can spare the rest of the Tang family. His voice was like thunder, striking everyone's hearts. The Tang family's martial artists' mouths and tongues were dry, and their bodies were cold. Those who were weak directly lay on the ground with pale faces. As for the elders, their faces were hidden. Humph. At this moment the first elder spoke. He scoffed coldly, and his voice spread in all directions like thunder. First he calmed everyone's hearts, then he said, don't be frightened by him. This should be a secret pupil technique. It's nothing to fuss about directly killing the soul. As long as the soul is protected, there won't be a problem. Is that so? Looks like you're very confident in yourself. Lin Xian looked at the first elder and sneered. In the next moment he raised his palm, and a chaotic sword chi flew out and slashed forward. This sword was too terrifying. The sky was directly cut in half, and the terrifying aura made everyone tremble. The first elder's pupils constricted. He did not expect the other party to be so decisive. He attacked without hesitation. Damn it, get lost. However, he was the first elder after all. He was a peerless powerhouse, and he even had the soaring serpent's bloodline power. Therefore, he would not admit defeat so easily. In the next moment, he roared and instantly activated his bloodline power. He knew that the other party was a great enemy, so he did not dare to be careless. Boom! He struck out with his palm, and the illusory image of a soaring serpent appeared in the sky. It bared its fangs and brandished its claws. It kept circling and emitting light that filled the sky. It blocked the shocking chaotic sword chi. Boom boom boom. Energy exploded, and the surrounding space kept collapsing, but it was still blocked. Great! The first elder finally blocked it. Seeing this scene, everyone cried out in alarm. The Tang family's martial artists were so excited that they cried. This was because they felt that there was hope for the Tang family. As strong as that young fellow was, he could not be a match for the first elder. On the other side, Hu Yidao and the other two elders who were next to Lin Xian sneered. This was because they knew their hall master was not only capable of this. Chapter 2399. Sure enough, at the next moment, the sword light on Lin Xian's body became even brighter. Countless sword lights lit up the sky. The sword seemed to be able to split heaven and earth apart. Boom, boom, boom. The sky shook, the earth trembled, and the mountains in the distance rumbled. What? That sword technique is so fearsome. It can actually cause a phenomenon in heaven and earth. The faces of the Tang family's martial artists took on ghastly expressions when they saw this. The Tang family's great elder had a grave look on his face too. He roared furiously, and the energy in his body moved quickly. He did not dare to be careless at all. Next, endless lights gathered above him, and formed a flying serpent that spiraled in the void. It rode on clouds and mists, and its fearsome aura enveloped the sky. Boom, boom, boom. Its massive body pressed down on Lin Xian, as if it wanted to crush him. At this moment, the great elder finally used his bloodline power, and summoned the illusory image of the flying serpent. That power was so strong that it shocked everyone. Boom, boom, boom. The flying serpent shrouded the surroundings. Fearsome poisonous mist spread, and a murderous aura soared into the sky. The martial artists in the distance also quickly retreated. They retreated to their clan's formation and watched quietly. Young fella, go to hell! The great elder roared, and the illusory image of the flying serpent above his head completely erupted. Lin Xian also frowned. He had to admit that the great elder was indeed formidable. The great elder's bloodline power had erupted at this moment, and he also felt a slight threat. Nevertheless, he sneered at the next moment, and a dragon's roar was heard coming from his body. In the sky, the cold aura was instantly extinguished, and the fearsome poisonous gases were also blown away by the strong wind. Buzz! The sword shook the 9 heavens and 10 earths. A shocking sword chi descended from the sky. It was as if an immortal light had collapsed the entire sky. The great elder was shocked because he realized that his opponent's sword chi was stronger than before. In a panic, he roared madly again and activated his bloodline power. Boom! 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 Intense collisions were heard in the sky. Fearsome lights lit up the sky, causing everyone to be unable to open their eyes at all. After the first attack, the great elder quickly retreated. Even so, the illusory image of the flying serpent wrapped around him tightly, so that he didn't get hurt too badly. On the other side, Lin Xian snorted coldly. He didn't retreat. Instead, he charged forward. Wung! The ancient dragon abyss sword appeared in the sky, tearing the void apart. Demon ceiling! The sword soared into the sky. Even with the superb formation, the Tung family's martial artists still sensed bone-piercing chills. In the sky, countless clouds were directly pierced through, and huge cracks appeared. The terrifying sword light was like a mountain, soaring into the sky. Pung! Countless sword chi turned into a huge seal, completely sealing off the sky. The soaring serpent roared madly and slammed into the gaps around it. However, each and every one of those sword chis was like a 5-fingered mountain. They were abnormally terrifying and could not be broken apart at all. Humph! Collapsing heaven! Another sword appeared in the sky, and the sky in front of him instantly collapsed. The soaring serpent was torn apart by the terrifying power. Puff! The soaring serpent's phantom was destroyed, and the great elder was sent flying, vomiting blood. His face was filled with shock and disbelief. His opponent had destroyed his soaring serpent so easily. How was this possible? That was the power of his bloodline. Chaotic rebellion. Lin Xian shouted coldly, and a hazy sword shadow appeared on his body. Tens of millions of sword chi crisscrossed and charged forward. The sky was instantly annihilated, and the great elder was enveloped by countless sword lights. Bang, bang, bang. A part of the world was pierced through. The elders roared madly and attacked with all their might, wanting to tear apart the storm. Save the great elder. As for the surrounding spirit formations, they began to tremble violently. In fact, cracks had even appeared in some places. Whoosh! When everything disappeared, the great elder was covered in blood. More than half of his body had been cut off. At this moment he was on the verge of death. What? How could this be? Everyone was stunned when they saw this. They could not believe it at all. You're no match for me at all. Tell your patriarch to get out here. Otherwise, don't blame me for killing all of you. If you want our patriarch to come out, you'll have to kill me. The great elder roared madly. His face was ferocious, and the bloodline power in his body began to burn. It seemed like he wanted to risk his life to attack. Seeing this, Lin Xian snorted coldly. Do you think I don't dare to do it? Metal sword. Lin Xian shouted coldly. He waved the ancient sword in his hand, and a golden light flashed as fast as lightning, instantly slashing across. Poof! The great elder's head flew up. This sword was too fast, and it was so sharp that it was impossible to guard against it. Even a peerless almighty would not be able to dodge it. Moreover, the great elder was heavily injured, so he was killed in one strike. What sword technique is this? How could it be so terrifying? The Tung family's martial artists were horrified. The other elders also felt their scalps go numb. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Hu Yidao and the others were shocked. This seems to be the metal sword of the Immortal Palace's 5 elements sword. This is a heaven-class cultivation technique. Heavens, how long has it been since the palace master came? Even if it's the first day of cultivation, it's probably only been a few months. To be able to use the metal sword to such an extent, his talent is too heaven-defying. At this moment, Hui Dao Peacock and Ghostly were shocked. They discovered that their hall master was simply too terrifying. Even the elders and deacons on the Black Demon ship were shocked. The 100 elite martial artists were extremely excited. Too powerful. Their palace master is too powerful. This made their blood boil. After killing the great elder with one strike, the sword qi on Lin Xian's body did not weaken. Instead, it became even more violent. It covered the entire sky, and the terrifying sword qi whistled. The Tang family's martial artists were extremely pale. Damn it, kill him. Fight it out with him. Some people in the formation gritted their teeth. Boom boom boom. They quickly activated their killing formations. One by one, the shocking killing formations rushed over. As an invincible king family, the Tang family was very terrifying. They had a lot of killing formations. 5 of them were activated instantly. One was as red as blood, and it carried flames that filled the sky. The other was as black as ink, and it looked like rolling demonic clouds. There were also sword qi that filled the sky, terrifying saber lights and violent lightning. The 5 killing formations shrouded Lin Xian in an instant, intending to kill him completely. The momentum was extremely terrifying. At this moment, the 5 of them attacked together, and they could kill an almighty. Therefore, the Tang family's martial artists who were in charge of killing revealed a sinister expression. Buzz. Lin Xian did not hesitate either. In an instant, he activated the Dragon Sword domain. The domain continued to expand, and instantly enveloped the 5 killing formations. Thousands of sword qi flew out quickly, and instantly pierced through the 5 killing formations. Not only that, the thousands of martial artists in the 5 killing formations were instantly annihilated. Boom boom boom. The sky split open, and black holes appeared one after another. Countless blood sprinkled down. Everyone was stunned by what they saw. Chapter 2400. The elders of the Tang family roared crazily. No. Damn it. Stop it. Kill him, we must kill him. No matter what price we have to pay, we must kill him. At this moment, the second elder roared. His eyes were red and filled with madness. The other elders were also filled with killing intent. More cultivators from the Tang family rushed over. Humph. Seeing this, Lin Xian snorted and pointed his sword to the sky. Beside him, Hui Dao Peacock and Ghostly stood out and emitted a terrifying aura. Not only that, but Xing Tian also stepped out. The aura on his body was like that of an ancient demon mountain pressing down. The dark red holy dragon transformed into 100 Zhang-long divine dragon and roared. The bloodline power of the Tang family cultivators trembled. What, you want to fight? Do you believe that I want to destroy the Tang family today? The sword intent on Lin Xian's body became even more dazzling. In the sky, the Black Demon ship slowly descended. 100 young cultivators jumped off the ship. They flew quickly, and their auras suddenly burst out. They were too excited and couldn't wait any longer. At this moment, when they received Lin Xian's order, they quickly rushed out. Not only them, but dozens of deacons and elders also walked out. The auras on their bodies were even stronger. In an instant, the figures behind Lin Xian were densely packed, and each of them was incomparably powerful. Damn it, why does he have so many people? The people from the Tang family were truly dumbfounded. Each of them began to tremble. Even the elders' pupils shrunk. The aura of an almighty. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and so on. Heavens, how is this possible? So many. They realized that there were several almighties on the other side. In addition, the auras of the young cultivators were also abnormally terrifying. This is a group of geniuses, a group of powerhouses. Damn it, who is this kid? How does he have such a terrifying force? The Tang family cultivators were stunned, and their faces were filled with fear. They didn't dare to make a move anymore. Indeed, they had more people, but their overall strength was no match for the other side. Unless they let all the warriors of the Tang clan come out and use their so-called trump card. In that case, they might be able to kill him. However, For the other party to be able to send out so many cultivators in an instant, the power behind them must be even more terrifying. In fact, he had even surpassed them. If they really offended such a figure, the Tang family would not have a good time in the future, even if they killed those people. This was especially true when they saw the mysterious smile on Lin Xian's face. They were extremely frightened. You dare to attack us? You really don't know what's good for you. Ghostly sneered. The martial artists from the Tang family gulped. The Tang family's elder had a grim look on his face. Who knew? A cold voice was heard coming from the depths of the Tang family. Then, a terrifying force tore through the clouds, and a figure stepped through the air. Upon seeing this person, the Tang family's martial artists turned around and exclaimed, "Patriarch! Greetings to the Patriarch! Welcome, Patriarch!" It was great that the human race was here. The Tang family's martial artists roared madly. Even the elders heaved sighs of relief. This was because their patriarch was an incredibly fearsome being. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. The other party had finally appeared. When he took a step forward, a figure appeared in the sky. It was a middle-aged man who wore a white robe and had black hair draped behind his back. His eyes were long and narrow, and they shone brightly. "I'm surprised that you're still alive. Your strength is also beyond my expectations. Why don't we stop here? How about we each take a step back?" The Tang family's patriarch looked at Lin Xian and said in a deep voice, "Take a step back." Upon hearing this, the Tang family's elders were shocked. The martial artists were also in an uproar. Was the Tang family going to admit defeat? This was truly an earth-shattering event. The Tang family was an invincible king clan. They had never given in to anyone before. Now they actually gave in to a young man. This made them in disbelief. However, when they saw the many fearsome powerhouses behind the young man, they fell silent. "Take a step back." Lin Xian sneered when he heard this. "When you sent the Tang family's powerhouses to kill me, did you ever think of taking a step back? Now that you've seen my strength, you're telling me to take a step back? Do you think there's such a good thing in the world? Today, you and these elders must die." "What?" As soon as he said that, all of the Tang family's martial artists were stunned. The other party was too arrogant. The Tang family had already given in, but the other party was still unyielding. He still wanted to kill them. He even wanted to kill their patriarch. This was too much. They roared angrily. The Tang family's patriarch's face darkened. "Young fella, don't be too arrogant. Don't think that you can contend against the Tang family just because you can summon so many powerhouses. The Tang family's foundation isn't something you can imagine. Is that so? Isn't he just an invincible king? Let him come out and see if I have a way to deal with him." Lin Xian did not care at all. Buzz! His eyes became incomparably cold, and the aura on his body suddenly burst out. He pointed his longsword forward. "Cut the crap. Go to hell." When he slashed out with his sword, the vast sword light caused the entire sky to tremble. "Stubborn. Today I'll suppress you." The Tang family's patriarch was also furious. Next he waved his sleeve and slapped out. At once a purple flying snake flew out. The snake's shadow kept growing in the sky like a mountain. It was extremely terrifying. Its enormous body filled the sky, crushed the space, and fiercely collided with the sword chi. Boom! An earth-shattering sound spread out in all directions. The Tang family's martial artists vomited large mouthfuls of blood and kept retreating. It was too terrifying. Just the aftermath of the energy was enough to make them unable to withstand it. Everyone retreated into the defense formation. A few elders shouted crazily, and they kept retreating. On the other side, Hu Yidao and the others also retreated to the big black ship. In front of them, only the Tang family's patriarch and Lin Xian were left. Boom! Boom! Seeing that his clansmen had retreated, the Tang family's patriarch no longer had any scruples. The light on his body became more and more terrifying. Lin Xian, on the other hand, was like a god of swords. The two of them fought crazily like two gods that had descended into the mortal world. Boom! Lin Xian punched out, and the sky was filled with light. The terrifying fist turned into a black sun that pushed out in the sky. Burning Sky Scorching Sun Fist. This was the war tribe's divine ability. When it appeared in Lin Xian's hands, It was extremely terrifying. Humph. Watch me swallow your son. The Tongue family's patriarch stretched out his 10 fingers, which turned into 10 ferocious snakes that danced in the sky. Each snake was 3 kilometers long and crushed the void. At this moment, the 10 snakes moved together, as if they were going to destroy the world. Chapter 2401. Each Ting snake was 1,000 feet long. Their huge bodies spun in the air and crushed the void. At this moment, the 10 Ting snakes moved together, as if they were going to destroy the world. Roar! 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 The 10 purple Ting snakes waved in the sky, opened their bloody mouths and swallowed all the black suns in the sky. This scene was too terrifying. It was as if they were going to devour the world. The martial artists of the Tongue family clapped and cheered. After Lin Xian saw this, he sneered. So what if they swallowed his fist technique? Watch me refine your tongue snakes. As he spoke, he stretched out a palm and grabbed. This palm was extremely terrifying. It kept growing bigger and bigger, covering the entire world. One couldn't see the end of it. Not only that, but the sun, moon, and stars revolved in his palm. It was very mysterious. Sun, moon, divine palm. This was also a terrifying divine ability. At this moment, Lin Xian used the great dragon sword soul again. Boom, boom, boom. The sun, moon, divine palm fell mercilessly and enveloped the 10 Ting snakes in the sky. Whoosh! Airwaves rolled and light shone. The sun, moon, and stars revolved as if they could destroy everything. The 10 Ting snakes roared crazily and counterattacked crazily. However, their bodies started to rupture. Countless cracks appeared on their bodies. Then they exploded with a boom. Between heaven and earth, countless spiritual chi appeared. The 10 Ting snakes had disappeared. What? They were destroyed. How was this possible? The martial artists of the Tongue family couldn't believe it. However, in the next moment they screamed. This was because they realized that after the palm destroyed the 10 Ting snakes, it once again grabbed towards their clan leader. Buzz! In an instant, the sun, moon, divine palm appeared in front of the Tongue family's clan leader. The terrifying energy directly cracked the void. Ah! Damn it, get lost! The Tongue family's clan leader roared crazily. Mysterious patterns appeared on his body, and the power of his bloodline was also activated. At this moment, he was like a demon king, resisting the sun, moon, divine palm in the sky. Buzz! 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 The sun, moon, divine palm was boundless and mysterious. It completely grabbed the Tongue family's clan leader and slowly closed its 5 fingers. Finally, it closed completely. Clan leader! When the Tongue family warriors saw this scene, they roared crazily. The hearts of the Tongue family's elders pounded wildly. They did not dare to imagine that their clan leader had been captured by the other party. The reason for that was because the power of the sun, moon, and stars was simply too frightening. Even a peerless expert would be injured. Boom! Just as they decided to take action and save the clan leader together, the situation in front of them changed again. The palm that was originally closed slowly opened at this moment, and a figure rushed out quickly. Damn brat! I'm going to kill you. I will definitely tear you to shreds. The person who rushed out was the Tongue family's patriarch. His hair was disheveled at the moment, and his white robe was torn, revealing a blue armor. There was a black demonic tripod cauldron above his head, which gave rise to monstrous demonic flames. Not only that, but there was also a terrifying soaring serpent coiling around his body. Brat! I will never forgive you. The Tongue clan patriarch's voice was cold as he clenched his fist. Suddenly, the shadow of the soaring serpent behind him flowed into his hand and transformed into a purple long spear. Brat! You will pay the price for your actions. The Tongue family's patriarch waved the purple long spear in his hand, and the void in front of him was completely split apart. A terrifying power charged toward Lin Xian. Lin Xian wielded the Dragon Abyss ancient sword to resist it. The two of them fought again. On the 99th move, Lin Xian's ancient sword suddenly emitted a light, and 2 of the runes disappeared. As for that power, it instantly burst forth. Boom! The sword slashed down and collided with the purple long spear, causing cracks to appear on the purple long spear. Another 3 slashes were made, and the purple long spear was directly shattered. As for the Tongue family's patriarch, he kept retreating. Damn it! How did this happen? The Tang family's patriarch's face was gloomy, and the others were all stunned. What's going on? How did the other party suppress their patriarch again? They could not believe it at all. Buzz! A dragon-shaped sword shadow appeared in Lin Xian's left hand again, and he directly turned toward the black demonic tripod cauldron. The sword cut the black demonic tripod cauldron in half. Poof! The black demonic tripod cauldron was originally a defensive treasure, and it was very powerful. However, after it was cut in half, the Tang family's patriarch immediately suffered from the impact, and he vomited blood as he flew backward. Good chance. When Lin Xian saw this, his body flashed, and he charged toward the patriarch. Runes flickered in his left eye. The floating light phantom flew out, and immediately pulled the patriarch's soul into an illusion. Then, he struck with both swords and slashed the patriarch's body. In an instant, the Tang family's patriarch's body caved in, and he was even cut in half at the waist. Blood spurted out, dyeing the sky red. The Tang family's martial artists went completely crazy. Their patriarch was cut in half by a sword. It was truly unbelievable. The Tang family's patriarch roared crazily in the sky, and soon, something shocking happened. Countless purple snake shadows suddenly appeared at the cut in half of his body, and they quickly intertwined. His severed body actually healed once again. Whoosh! In the next moment, the Tang family's patriarch's body appeared in the distance. He was panting heavily, and his face was abnormally pale. However, his eyes were extremely ferocious, and they shone with purple light. Damn it! The Tang family's patriarch was furious. If he did not have the Tang snake bloodline, he would have been killed by this sword. On the other side, Lin Xian also frowned when he saw this. He's not dead. Moreover, his body healed? What technique is this? It's so strange. Young fella, this is the Tang snake bloodline power. A kind of divine ability. As long as it's not a fatal injury, it can usually heal. He Tu explained through voice transmission. The Tang snake has such a divine ability. Lin Xian was surprised. This is equivalent to an immortal body. However, if it was a fatal blow, he would definitely be killed. Even if the patriarch could heal, it would probably be useless. Whoosh! In front of him, the Tang family's patriarch took out a few pills from his interspatial ring and quickly swallowed them. He also consumed a purple Ganoderma and a bottle of black liquid. Then his exhausted physical strength and injuries were quickly healing. So what? This sword strike is enough to kill you. Seeing that the patriarch had recovered, Lin Xian did not go forward to stop him at all. He took a deep breath, and a piercing cold light suddenly burst out from his eyes. Then, the great dragon sword in his left hand, and the ancient dragon abyss sword in his right hand merged together. Buzz! He held the sword with both hands and slashed. Snake swallows heaven and earth. On the other side, the Tang family's patriarch also launched his strongest attack. He twisted his body and turned into a giant purple snake in the sky. It was 50,000 meters tall, and then it swooped down. The snake opened its mouth and swallowed the entire world in an instant. The sky instantly darkened, and only endless sword lights flashed. His voice was like thunder, shaking the surroundings. It was the aura of a saint. In the sky, the demonic human face ignored Xing Tian. Instead, it stared at the saint's hand bone. In the next moment, its eyes shone brightly. It did not expect to encounter a saint's treasure. Perhaps this is the opportunity for me to break through. Buzz! Beside the human face, a terrifying hand appeared and grabbed downward, as if it wanted to grab the saint's hand bone. You're courting death. Seeing this, Lin Xian's face darkened. Chapter 2403. Whoosh! A black mirror appeared in the sky and floated above his head. Then a black ray of light flew out. It blasted towards the terrifying palm in the sky. Boom! The palm was instantly pierced through. Then it turned into spiritual qi and dissipated in the void. Seeing this scene, the Tang family's martial artists went crazy in disbelief. That was the palm of an invincible king. It was extremely terrifying. Even living fossils couldn't resist it. However, the other party destroyed it so easily. What exactly was that black mirror? In the sky, the demonic human face was also angry and shocked. Damn it, how dare you destroy my attack? All of you must die. A cold killing intent appeared in his eyes. However, in the next moment he was stunned. Not only was he stunned, but his demonic face was also filled with shock. This was because the second elder raised his hand and threw out a golden scroll. The aura of this scroll was too terrifying. Even the invincible king was terrified. Lin Xian was also extremely surprised. He felt that the aura on the scroll was very similar to the aura of his saint's hand bone. Thinking about it, it should be something passed down by a saint. No wonder the invincible king was afraid. Damn it, who exactly are you? The demonic human face didn't attack. Instead, he gritted his teeth and asked, "Who are we? Don't you know now?" That elder shouted coldly. The golden scroll above his head shone even more brightly. It even formed mysterious runes that surrounded the surroundings. What? It's actually you. When the demonic human face saw the shape of those runes, his pupils immediately constricted. His purple eyes were filled with shock. Obviously, he recognized what it was. A smile appeared on Lin Xian's face when he saw this scene. Since they recognized him, things would be much easier. He didn't believe that the other party would dare to fight against Immortal Palace. So what if they were from an invincible king family? Immortal Palace had 6 protector elders, and all 6 of them were invincible kings. This was only the strength on the surface. Immortal Palace's foundation was probably terrifying. Sure enough, the demonic human face was no longer arrogant. Instead, it asked in a deep voice, "What do you want?" "You'll have to ask our palace master." Immortal Palace's elder said coldly. "What? Palace master?" The demonic face looked at Lin Xian in disbelief. However, in the next moment he still asked, "May I ask, Hall Master, what are your plans?" "I've said before that I'll let the Tang family live if I kill your patriarch and the 10 great elders." Now that the Tang family's patriarch was dead, only one of the 10 great elders was left. Tell him to obediently roll over and accept his death. What? Did he really have to kill all 10 elders? The Tang family's martial artists were shocked. The demonic face in the sky was also silent. "Damn brat, you've gone too far." Second elder Zhang roared crazily. The 5 living fossil elders didn't expect the other party to still want to kill them. Their faces turned gloomy, and their eyes emitted a biting killing intent. This was because they still didn't know what kind of power the other party was from. However, they did not dare to act rashly. They could tell that their patriarch was very wary of the other party. Otherwise, with their old ancestor's character, he would have killed everyone with a single slap. However, their old ancestor didn't do that. This meant that the other party's identity was definitely not simple. In the sky, the demonic face was silent for a moment. Then it asked, "Is what you said true? Are you willing to let the Tang family go?" "Of course. As long as you issue an apology to the Tang family and spread it throughout the Ninely dynasty, I can let the Tang family go." "Okay, it's settled then." The demonic face nodded and said, "Do it then." What? Hearing this, everyone was stunned. They simply could not believe their ears. What did our great ancestor say? Do it. Are we really going to let the other party kill our only remaining second elder? God, what exactly is going on? At this moment, the Tang family's martial artists were all dizzy. The 5 living fossil elders were also dumbfounded. Why? Our great ancestor doesn't care? How's this possible? Who exactly is the other party? How can he make our great ancestor afraid? They dared not imagine. Second elder's vision turned black, and he almost fainted. He looked at the figure in front of him, and his body trembled. Next he turned around and fled. Humph. Seeing this, Lin Xian sneered in disdain, and a hint of coldness appeared in his eyes. Sure enough, the demonic face in the sky once again sent down 2 purple lightning bolts, directly killing Second Elder. What? Second Elder was killed. Seeing this, all the Tang family's martial artists did not dare to say anything. The 5 living fossil elders' mouths twitched. In the sky, the demonic face said, "Don't worry. I will announce to the entire Ninely dynasty that I apologize to you. That would be best." Lin Xian said coldly. Then he put away the ancient sword, turned around, and waved his hand. "Let's go." Behind him, the Immortal Palace's martial artists boarded the Black Demon ship one after another. Then the Black Demon ship swayed, turned into a black light, and disappeared into the sky. Below, the Tang family's martial artists were dumbfounded. Today's scene would probably become a nightmare for them for the rest of their lives. On the other side, Lin Xian and the others left the Tang family and set off for the Great Xia dynasty again. Lin Xian returned to his room and went into seclusion to comprehend the five elements sword. Although he had only used one sword in the previous battle, the power of the metal sword was beyond his expectations. It seemed that if the five elements sword was mastered, it would definitely be terrifying. At this moment, the Great Xia dynasty could be said to be in turmoil. All the sacred grounds, peerless sects, and powerhouse families in the 5 continents had rushed over. This was because the ancient tomb of a saint had appeared here. Moreover, there was the legend of the nest of 10,000 dragons in Zhongzhou. Every piece of news moved them. Therefore, countless powerhouses would come to the Great Xia dynasty. The martial artists of the Great Xia dynasty were extremely nervous. Especially the royal family of the Great Xia dynasty. They had mobilized all their forces. However, they were not too worried. This was because they believed that even if those people came to look for treasures, they would not dare to touch the royal family of the Great Xia dynasty. They had this foundation. After all, the royal family of the Great Xia dynasty had produced a great emperor. Moreover, there were extreme weapons in the palace. Chapter 2404. In the past few days, with the arrival of experts from all over the world, some of the restrictions outside the ancient tomb had been removed. Therefore, the ruins outside the ancient tomb had also appeared in front of everyone. Although they were dilapidated, there might be 1 or 2 treasures after so many years. Therefore, those experts were searching the surrounding ruins. At this moment, in one of the ruins, there were 2 groups of warriors confronting each other. Their auras were very heavy, and there were even countless cracks in the space between them, as if it would collapse at any time. Get lost, this is the territory of the Great Xia dynasty. The rest of you leave, a middle-aged man shouted coldly, his body full of murderous intent. The people behind him also looked solemn. They were emitting a terrifying aura, and the weapons in their hands were shining with a cold light. It was as if they would start a fight if there was a disagreement. On the opposite side, there was also a group of people with powerful auras, and most of them were women. The leader was even more beautiful. Her appearance was like a fairy, and her purple dress was shining brightly. She was like a fairy from the 9 heavens, descending to the mortal world. The woman in purple said lightly, "This is an ancient ruin, and it doesn't belong to anyone. You want to take over this place, just because you're from the Great Xia dynasty? Aren't you a little too overbearing?" "Humph. So what if you're overbearing?" At this moment, in the opposite group of people, a young man snorted coldly. Then, he held a long sword and stabbed it over. The sword flashed and turned into a long rainbow in the sky, quickly stabbing towards the woman in purple. Buzz! Seeing this scene, the woman in purple didn't panic at all. The people behind her were also expressionless. When the long sword was close to her, the woman in purple slowly stretched out her jade-like hand and slapped it forward. With one slap, the wind and clouds changed. The long sword was shattered, and the young man vomited blood and flew out, landing in the distance. Those martial artists on the other side had faces full of terror. This woman was so powerful. The young man who attacked just now was also a genius of their family, but he couldn't even take one slap from her. "Who is she? Damn it, who are you?" a middle-aged man asked. "Jade Lake Morong Qingcheng." The woman in purple answered coldly. "What? She's from the Jade Lake Sacred Ground." Hearing this, the faces of the people on the opposite side became extremely ugly. The Jade Lake Sacred Ground was an existence that could stand shoulder to shoulder with the royal clan of Grand Xia. However, it was nothing compared to the Jade Lake Sacred Ground. Therefore, in the next moment, the middle-aged man gritted his teeth. "Let's go." Soon these people left. A smile appeared on Morong Qingcheng's face as she waved her hand and said, "He searched the entire ancient ruins, not missing a single detail." "Yes, Saintess." The martial artists behind him moved quickly. Things like this often happened in the surrounding ruins. Not only the Jade Lake sacred ground, but all the great sage lands in the eastern wilderness had also come, and their leaders were all saints and saintesses. Of course, the princes of Zhongzhou state also came. The experts from the clans of the western desert, northern plains, and southern ridge had also arrived. In a short period of time, it could be said that heroes and geniuses rose together. There were more battles in the past few days than in the past 10 years. There were often people who directly attacked without saying a word. Or if they were not convinced of each other's strength, they would also start fighting. Boom! Two figures soared into the sky, exploding a part of the world. In the distance, everyone exclaimed. That was the fifth prince of the Ninely dynasty, right? Who was fighting with him? Looking at the lightning aura, it seemed to be the 10,000 Thunder Sacred Ground Saint. Haha! I've long heard that there are many outstanding people in Zhongzhou state. Today, I'll experience it for myself. A young man with a red giant sword on his back stood in the void and laughed loudly. Terrifying sword chi bloomed from his body, piercing through all directions. Who are you? Someone in the crowd shouted coldly. Seiko Dian Xiangwentian. What? It's actually him. No wonder his aura was so powerful. Many of the older generation looked at the sky in shock. I'll fight you. In the distance, a green stream of light spun quickly and instantly arrived nearby. Then, the green light that filled the sky disappeared, and a handsome young man appeared above everyone. Who are you? Xiang Wentian asked coldly. He was tall and looked like a demon king, looking down on everyone. Great Xia Dynasty Marquis Qingyi. The person's voice was equally cold. What? It's actually Great Xia's Marquis Qingyi. The surrounding experts were shocked. They had heard that a very impressive young genius had appeared in Great Xia Dynasty. At such a young age, he had been conferred the title of Marquis. One had to know that that was a status second only to the Marquis. Those marquises, which one of them hadn't lived for 1 to 2,000 years, and were experts who shocked the ancient and modern times. There were very few people who were conferred the title of Marquis at such a young age like Marquis Qingyi. This was definitely a peerless genius. Good, you're worthy of my attack. Xiang Wentian laughed loudly, and his sword chi surged into the sky. Most of them slashed towards Marquis Qingyi. Marquis Qingyi snorted coldly, and his body bloomed with green light like a demon king. The battle between the two was earth-shattering. There were many young battles like this. At this moment, the saints of the great sage land, those princes, and the geniuses of the aristocratic families were all unconvinced after meeting. Therefore there were many exchanges. Ha 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 ha, old man. Where are you going? Suddenly, a voice came from the sky like thunder, shaking everyone below, and making them unable to stand steadily. These people raised their heads and looked at the sky in horror. Heavens, who is this? Just the voice alone was so terrifying. Needless to say, it must be a peerless expert. In the next moment, they saw an old man in front of them fleeing frantically. That old man's hair was disheveled, and his body was broken. There was blood at the corner of his mouth. At this moment, his body was burning with light as he fled quickly like a stream of light. What? It was a peerless mighty figure. A peerless mighty figure was actually fleeing? Who is it? Was he chasing after a peerless mighty figure? The surrounding experts were stunned. They didn't dare to believe it at all. From the current situation, although the major forces from all over the world had come, most of them were mighty figures, and the powerful ones were peerless powerhouses. The invincible king hadn't appeared yet. In other words, the strongest person now was a peerless mighty figure. But now a peerless mighty figure was actually being hunted down? This made them unable to believe it. Old man, you can't escape. In the sky, a sneer came again. Immediately after, two auras rolled over from afar. One of them was shining brightly like a Buddha. The other half of the sky was as black as ink, as if a demon king had come out. Two completely opposite auras coexisted in the sky and rolled forward. Who is this person? What a terrifying aura. Sensing the phenomenon in the sky, everyone's scalps went numb. In the next moment, they were even more terrified because they saw a figure standing in the golden light and demonic sword. Chapter 2405. This person's body was very tall, at least 3 meters tall. What was even more strange was that he had 4 hands and 2 heads. It was as if 2 people were sharing the same body. That was the twin kings of Zhongzhou. They did not expect that they would come as well. Many people were terrified, and their scalps went numb. When the others heard that name, they were also extremely shocked. What? They were the twin kings of Zhongzhou? Legend had it that they were incomparably terrifying, and were very strange coexisting entities. The elder brother, the virtuous one, had the aura of light. The younger brother, the evil one, had the aura of darkness. The 2 of them shared the same body, but they could cultivate separately. It could be said that it was very strange. There was probably no other person like them in the entire world. At this moment, not only the elders, but the saints and saintesses of the great sage land also raised their heads and looked at the sky. Their eyes flickered, because they could feel that the aura of the twin kings of Zhongzhou was very terrifying. They were not weaker than them. Moreover, the other party was equivalent to 2 people. If they really fought, it would be 1 against 2. Probably not many people could really contend against them. Old man, stay here for me. Above, the evil one sneered. Boundless demonic chi rolled, and turned into 4 demonic pillars that rushed over. In an instant, the peerless powerhouse in the distance was trapped. He was trapped. All the martial artists below exclaimed, but the expression of the peerless powerhouse in the sky changed drastically. His palms moved, wanting to shatter the 4 demonic pillars. The red palm slapped out, instantly shattering the void in front of him. Endless red light swept through the 9 heavens like a wave. Boom! 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 Intense collisions sounded in the sky. 2 of the 4 demonic pillars were shattered, and the old man was able to escape. However, at this time, the twin kings of Zhongzhou had already arrived near the old man. Old man, you still want to run? Stay here for me. The evil one slapped out, and a large black palm descended from the sky. The peerless old man resisted, and the 2 of them fought until the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. However, at this time, the virtuous one also made his move. The sea of bitterness is boundless. Repent and be saved. I really don't want to make a move, but you're better than me. Although he said that he was unwilling to make a move, the virtuous one's attack was not weak at all. There was a golden dharma wheel in his hand. With a wave of his hand, golden lights filled the sky. They were like sharp swords that pierced through the void. The evil child and the good child, both of them were equivalent to supreme almighties. At this moment, the 2 of them were attacking together, and it was 2 against 1. Perhaps even peerless almighties would not be able to resist it. Sure enough, when the old man saw this scene, his face turned pale with fright. The next moment he roared and waved his hand. Something appeared in his sleeve. That thing flickered with 5-colored radiance, and floated in front of him as soon as it appeared. The 5-colored radiance blocked the virtuous child's golden dharma wheel. What was that? How terrifying! The martial artists below also exclaimed when they saw the 5-colored light. He didn't expect the old man to have such a precious treasure. The virtuous and evil children smiled when they saw this. Old man, we found this in the ruins. I didn't expect that you would dare to snatch it. Now kneel down obediently and hand over the treasure. I can give you a quick death. You'd better listen to him. Otherwise, you'll end up in a miserable state. The virtuous son also said indifferently, Hack. This was clearly found by me. You were jealous and wanted to snatch it away. You 2 monsters. Kill me if you have the ability. Otherwise, you won't have the chance to get this ancient treasure in your lifetime. Monsters? You called us monsters? The virtuous child's face was gloomy, while the evil child roared angrily. Half of the sky was filled with demonic aura. The 2 of them hated it when others called them monsters the most, because it was unbearable for them. Old man, you've angered me. Today, I will definitely kill you. The evil child roared angrily. Boundless demonic aura rolled in his hand, forming a death scythe. Black aura surrounded the scythe, emitting fluctuations that made one's heart tremble. On the virtuous child's side, there was also a golden dharma wheel in his hand. As it spun, heaven and earth shattered. Die for me, you old bastard! The evil child roared angrily, and quickly slashed out with the death scythe in his hand. A huge black blade light shone in the sky, forming a crack that was almost 10,000 meters long. Boom! The old man was instantly sent flying. The void behind him was completely shattered, and he vomited large mouthfuls of blood. Fortunately, the five-colored radiance in front of him blocked this attack. He was only affected by the impact. However, just as he stopped, his expression changed again. That was because at some point in time, a golden halo had appeared above his head. It was spinning non-stop like a sun. At that moment, it pressed down mercilessly. The heavenly Dharma wheel. It bloomed with tens of thousands of rays of light, and it even carried a trace of divine power. It directly descended like a golden mountain, shattering the void. Boom! In the vast expanse, the peerless old man used the five-colored divine light above his head to defend himself. At the same time, countless shields and battle armors rushed out of his body. However, he was still sent flying, and the injuries in his body were even more serious. One had to admit that the virtuous child and the evil child were too terrifying. Each of them could contend against a peerless mighty figure individually. At that moment, the two of them attacked together, causing the old man to feel an unprecedented crisis. When the surrounding powerhouses from all over the world saw this scene, they were also extremely shocked. Their scalps went numb. That was because they realized that the twin kings of Zhongzhou were too terrifying. They were simply invincible existences. Perhaps only an extremely terrifying peerless mighty figure could suppress them. Ordinary peerless mighty figures would not be a match for them at all. At that moment, the saints and princes also had solemn expressions on their faces. They realized that they were definitely a peerless enemy. Below, everyone watched as the battle between the two sides continued. And it was getting more and more terrifying. The entire sky was completely shattered, and violent energy surged for 100,000 kilometers. However, the people who came this time were all powerhouses, so the aftermath of the energy was blocked by the light curtain that everyone had formed together. Therefore, those people did not retreat and continued to watch from a close distance. After 300 moves, the old man screamed in pain, and one of his arms was cut off by the death scythe. After 400 moves, he was hit by the heavenly treasure Dharma wheel, and half of the bones in his body were shattered. Finally, after 600 moves, the five-colored ancient treasure was snatched away by the twin kings of Zhongzhou. After 650 moves, the old man was killed. What? A peerless mighty figure was killed. Many young martial artists exclaimed in surprise. Even the older generation figures felt their scalps go numb. They realized that the twin kings of Zhongzhou were too terrifying. Moreover, they seemed to be mentally unstable. In the future, they must not mention the word monster in front of them. Boom! The old man's corpse fell from the sky and pierced through the ground. The surrounding people retreated one after another, afraid that they would be stained by the blood. After all, that was the blood of a peerless mighty figure. A drop of it could kill an ordinary king. Chapter 2406. In the sky, Zhongzhou's twin kings held the five-colored light and laughed heartily. Only then did everyone see clearly that the colorless light was a fragment. It seemed to be left behind by a broken shield. Just a fragment was enough to block Zhongzhou's twin kings' attack. One could only imagine how terrifying an intact shield would be. Needless to say, this should be the ancient castle found in the nearby ruins. Hurry up and look for it again. The surrounding people were excited. If they could find such an ancient treasure, they would be rich. Therefore, many people were looking for it. In the sky, Zhongzhou's twin kings also snorted coldly. Their bodies flashed, and they disappeared into one of the ancient ruins. Seeing Zhongzhou's twin kings leave, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. They had no choice. Their auras were too powerful, like the combination of a demon and a Buddha. However, in less than half an incense stick's worth of time, the sky changed again. A terrifying aura came from afar. It was like a wave crashing in all directions. The sound was very loud, as if 10,000 thunderbolts were surging. All the cultivators around the fish raised their heads and looked into the distance. Then they cried out in alarm. That was because there was a sky full of light swaying in front of them. It was like a divine red light, flying over quickly. A large amount of clouds and mist rolled, and roars could be heard. A terrifying aura spread across the world. Those were demonic beasts. An old man cried out in alarm. The others felt their scalps go numb. Could it be that the demonic beasts had arrived? At this moment, everyone narrowed their eyes. Soon, someone snorted coldly. It's not the demonic beasts. Look, there are people sitting on those demonic beasts. They're humans. Heavens, which faction are they from? Why are they riding on such terrifying demonic beasts? Those people were stunned. In the sky, those demonic beasts rushed over quickly. They stepped on the void, and their bodies were covered in auspicious clouds. They were extremely terrifying. When they got closer, everyone realized that these demonic beasts were extremely huge. Each of them was like a mountain, and their bodies emitted a terrifying aura. Not only that, they were all wearing armor. Obviously, they were demonic beasts that had been tamed by humans. At the front was a gale beast. It was a demonic bird. It was extremely huge, and its entire body was green. A terrifying gale surrounded its body. It spread its wings and green light surrounded it. A young man in green armor sat on top of it. His aura was extremely sharp. Not only that, but there was also a large flag behind him that was fluttering in the wind. The flag was 1,000 meters long, and runes revolved around it. It was obvious that it was a terrifying treasure. What is this? Everyone's gaze followed the large flag. Soon, they saw two words written on the flag that was fluttering in the wind. Light-shaking realm. This was the wavering light holy land. Everyone's scalp went numb. They were all too familiar with the people from the Eastern Barren Territory. The faces of the people from the other continents also changed. They had all heard about the wavering light holy land. This was an extremely terrifying sacred ground. It was the only sacred ground that had never produced a great emperor, but possessed an extreme weapon. Boom! Boom! After arriving in the vicinity, the hundreds of Yao kings in the sky quickly descended. The people below automatically dispersed, creating a large vacuum. Although there were only a few hundred demon kings, there were quite a number of people who came. This was because some demon kings could have hundreds of people standing on them. For example, there was a flying python that was nearly 10,000 meters long. It circled in the sky like a winged dragon. Among them, the most eye-catching one was a demon king that looked like a Qilin. There was a young man sitting on it. He was surrounded by 108 halos like a god. He was very dazzling. The wavering light saint. Everyone exclaimed. That's right. The young man who looked like a god was a very famous peerless genius in the eastern wilderness. The wavering light saint. Beside the Qilin, there was a green phoenix that was surrounded by multicolored light. There was also a woman sitting on it. She was extremely beautiful. She was the wavering light saint. As soon as the wavering light saint appeared, she attracted the attention of countless young geniuses. It couldn't be helped because the wavering light saint was too beautiful. They couldn't take their eyes off her. Boom! However, at this moment, the sound of thunder came from the distant sky again. Everyone's gaze shifted away from the wavering light saint and looked into the distance. Is that a dragon? Many people exclaimed, because in the distance, 9 huge black figures had appeared. Each of them was a few thousand meters long and shone with spiritual light. They were baring their fangs and brandishing their claws. They were surrounded by auspicious clouds. This scene was like a giant dragon. No. Soon an elder shook his head. It wasn't a dragon, but it was close. It was a flood dragon. 9 dragons pulling a chariot. Heavens, which family are these people from? Isn't it too terrifying? They're using flood dragons to pull their chariots. How extravagant! How extravagant! Many people exclaimed. At this moment, the saints of the great sage land also turned their heads. The people of the wavering light sacred land, who had just landed, also looked into the sky. Behind the 9 serpents were mighty war chariots that were pulling them toward them. On the chariots, runes flashed and formed a mysterious ancient word. Yi. It's the Yi family. The Yi family of the ancients. They're here too. Everyone exclaimed. The Yi family was a family that had produced a great emperor. It was an extremely terrifying family of the ancients. For a moment everyone's heart sank. Roar! 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 The 9 flood dragons came close and stopped in mid-air. They roared into the sky, and their terrifying voices shook the 9 heavens, causing the blood of the people below to churn. What terrifying flood dragons! Everyone's heart trembled. However, the terrifying monster kings of the wavering light sacred land, who had just landed, also roared, as if they were demonstrating their power. Boom! Boom! It was as if thousands of beasts were roaring in the sky. Terrifying cracks even appeared. Wavering light, you're here early. At this moment, a majestic voice came from one of the chariots in the sky. The Yi family is not late either. Below, there was also a response from the savage beasts. Peerless figures. Although there were only 2 voices, it was more terrifying than the roar of the beasts. Everyone's heart trembled. Needless to say, those were 2 extremely terrifying figures. They did not expect that both the wavering light sacred land and the Yi family would send such terrifying figures. It seemed that they were determined to win this time's saint's tomb. However, it was not over yet. After the Yi family, countless rays of light flew over. One by one, the terrifying sacred lands, great sects, and aristocratic families arrived. The sky was filled with rays of light. Countless beasts roared, and divine lightning fell from the sky. The chariots were filled with a barbaric aura. It was really a grand occasion. However, those terrifying scenes lasted for a while before those people from the major forces began to descend. They explored the surrounding ancient ruins. Therefore, the sky gradually returned to its original tranquility. However, everyone's heart could not calm down. Almost all of them had arrived. A few young people heaved a sigh of relief. Although the battle had not yet begun, just this scene alone made their blood boil. This was only the saint's tomb. If the nest of 10,000 dragons appeared, the scene would probably be 100 times more spectacular. Chapter 2407. Is the nest of 10,000 dragons really there? Yes, it's rumored to be the land of dragons. Do dragons really exist? Many people exclaimed. It was as if another fluctuation appeared in the sky. Everyone raised their heads again. Someone else is coming. Indeed, someone else was coming. A large black ship was flying quickly in the sky. Endless dark light surrounded it, and demonic clouds rolled, as if it had come from the underworld. Which faction are they from? Everyone frowned. The other party only had a large black ship. It could be said that it was much smaller than the remote antiquity families and the sacred ground. However, the aura emitted by this large black ship was incomparably terrifying. Therefore, for a moment, everyone was confused. The large black ship flew in the sky, and thousands of rays of light shone down. Its appearance attracted the attention of many people. For a moment, many people pointed in disgust. This ship was the black demon ship that Lin Xian and the others were on. At this moment, the black demon ship gradually slowed down. The figures on it swayed and looked down, exclaiming one after another. There were so many people down there. How terrifying. That's a chariot pulled by 9 dragons. Heavens, that's the Yi family. Voices sounded one after another. Xing Tian also stood up and came to Lin Xian's door. He said respectfully, "Young master, we're here." "Got it." Lin Xian's voice came from the room. In the next moment, the door opened, and Lin Xian walked out. This is the aura of the 5 elements power. Xing Tian was surprised when he sensed the remaining aura on Lin Xian's body. It seems that the young master has mastered the 5 elements sword. To be honest, he was too shocked. Although he knew that the young master was talented, this was too fast. After all, the 5 elements sword was a heaven-grade technique. It would probably take decades to master it. However, Lin Xian actually mastered it in a month or 2. It was really shocking. After Lin Xian came out, the dark red dragon beside him also came out. It laughed like an old monster. "Haha, I finally developed a few new formations. Kid, they'll show you their power later." "Damn, it's a flood dragon." Before Lin Xian could reply, the dark red dragon exclaimed. Not only him, but many people on the black demon ship also looked over. After all, the sight of 9 dragons pulling a carriage was too spectacular. 9 huge Jiao dragons circled in the air. Their scales shone with a cold light, as if they were made of divine iron. "Which clan was this?" Lin Xian asked. Xing Tian said. "It was the Yi family." The runes on the chariot were exclusive to the Yi family. The Yi family, a family of the remote antiquity. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes when he heard that. Previously, he had interacted with the Yi clan. He even had a friendly relationship with a genius from the Yi clan. Yang Qi wondered if Leaf Dao Dinier had come this time. In addition to Yi Wudao, there was also Gu Santong from the Gu clan. He was the one who had helped the All Beginnings Holy Maiden become the All Beginnings Holy Lands Holy Maiden. Other than that, there were also a few enemies. For example, the 10,000 Lightning Saint Sun, and the people from the other branches of the All Beginnings Holy Land. Tuoba family. Wait. Thinking of this, the corners of Lin Xian's mouth curled up into a smile. I wonder if those old friends of mine are here? In the next moment he asked, "Who else is here?" "Young master, there are quite a lot of people here this time. In addition to the Yi family, Alcade Jade Lake, and other sacred grounds have also come. Not only that, but those peerless sects have also come. It could be said that all the heroes had gathered. Are the people from the Gu clan here?" "They are here." "By the way, are the people from the Purple Dawn Holy Land here?" Lin Xian asked. He remembered Xinjingqiu. She had entered the Purple Dawn Holy Land. It had been a long time since he had seen that little girl. "I haven't seen her yet, but I think she will come," Xing Tian said. Lin Xian nodded, his eyes flickering. It seemed that the saint's tomb had really caused a big commotion this time. However, he knew that a large part of it was caused by the nest of 10,000 dragons. After all, the saint's tomb alone was not enough to alarm the entire world. He swept his gaze below, and the light in his eyes became sharper and sharper. It seemed that this trip to the ancient tomb would not be too simple. That was because there were too many powerhouses below. In fact, some of them were not weaker than the Immortal Palace. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. The black demon ship floated in the void and did not descend. The people below were extremely puzzled. What's going on? What is this person doing? Indeed, they were very puzzled. That was because until now, they had not recognized the other party's identity. The other party did not send anyone out, nor did they descend. Instead, they floated in the sky. At this moment, a tall man rushed up and asked coldly, "May I know which sect you are from?" "Immortal Palace." Lin Xian looked down and said indifferently, "What? Immortal Palace?" Hearing this, everyone was stunned. Immortal Palace? What kind of organization is that? I've never heard of it. Immortal? It seems that their background is not simple. They discussed animatedly. It couldn't be helped. The Immortal Palace had been very low-key before. Although they were powerful, not many people knew about them. Therefore, at this moment, when the name came out, many people were puzzled. Originally, they thought that it would be some peerless sect or sacred ground. Unexpectedly, the other party was not one. Instead, it was an organization that they had never heard of. What Immortal Palace? At this moment, someone sneered. Even the clan of the ancients did not dare to use the name Immortal. Who do you think you are? How dare you call yourself Immortal Palace? That's right. I don't even know if there are immortals in this world. Isn't it too arrogant to use the name Immortal Palace? For a moment many people sneered. Those who came here were all the top forces in the world. Naturally they were not convinced. Why did the other party dare to use the name Immortal Palace, when even the clan of the ancients did not dare to do so? Buzz. Puffed. Hearing these words, the people of Immortal Palace on the Black Demon ship frowned. Lin Xian snorted coldly. In the next moment, Ghostly, who was behind him, suddenly disappeared. Several screams came from the crowd below. Ah, 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 puffed. Several heads flew up and blood spurted out. This scene caused panic on the ground below. Humph. At this moment, Ghostly's voice also sounded. Those who dared to provoke the Immortal Palace would be killed without mercy. What? There's an assassin. Seeing this scene, the surrounding people were shocked. The others shouted angrily, "Damn it, do you want to start a war with us?" This scene attracted the attention of everyone in the surroundings. In an instant the great sage land, the peerless sects, and the aristocratic families all looked over. Among them, some of the saints and saintesses frowned when they saw this scene. What is the background of the Immortal Palace? How dare they attack? Moreover, the other party's strength was not bad. He had killed several geniuses in an instant. This should be an incomparably terrifying assassin. However, the clans that had been killed were enraged. What kind of joke is this? How dare the other party attack us? He's courting death. Chapter 2408. If they did not fight back and kill the other party, how were they going to survive in the future? One had to know that the people here were all top forces. Therefore, they could not swallow their pride, and they could not afford to lose face like this. Boom. The martial artists from these families shouted coldly, and a powerful aura swept out, causing everyone to retreat in fear. The terrifying airwave turned into a sharp sword, slashing in all directions. Ghostly sneered and quickly retreated. In an instant, he retreated to the Black Demon ship and looked down coldly. Damn it, go to hell. Immortal Palace? How dare you kill our people? You're dead meat. Among them a young man roared. He formed a seal with both hands, and spat out balls of flame from his mouth. The terrifying flames soared into the sky, as if they could burn everything. The entire void was completely melted. The surrounding people also kept retreating, their faces full of fear. What a terrifying flame. Humph. However, Ghostly sneered disdainfully. In the next moment, his pale hand reached out and grabbed in front of him. In an instant, the divine flames in the sky were extinguished. Not only that, the void split open, and a black claw crossed the space and appeared in front of the young man. In the next moment it hit the young man. Bang! The young man vomited blood and flew backward, smashing into a mountain in the distance and shattering 2 peaks. What? How could this be? When the surrounding people saw this scene, they were shocked. The people from the other 2 forces had ugly expressions. Damn it, who are you? Do you know that we're from 5 Elements Palace? Below, the martial artists roared. 5 Elements Palace was a large sect in the eastern wilderness. They cultivated the 5 Elements technique, and were a very terrifying sect. They did not expect that someone would dare to challenge them, and they did not know who the other party was. This made them extremely angry. The people on the other side also sneered. We're from the 9 heavens holy ground. Hurry up and kneel down and apologize. Otherwise, when the experts from our holy ground and the saint arrive, you're dead meat. 9 heavens holy ground? They're from the holy ground. The surrounding people were in an uproar. They did not expect that the people who were killed would have such a powerful background. In fact, it made sense. Those who could stand here were all from holy grounds in large sections. Ordinary families would not dare to get close. I don't care about your 9 heavens holy ground or 5 elements palace. Since you dare to provoke my immortal palace, there is only one outcome. At this moment, another cold snort came from the black ship. In the next moment, Huidao also flew down. He stood in the void and looked around. Those who refused to submit could come up and die. Damn it. They had gone too far. The cultivators from 5 Elements Palace and 9 Heavens Holy Ground were enraged. When had they ever suffered such contempt? In the next moment, the people from the two forces quickly attacked. A middle-aged man from the Five Stars Palace waved his hand and shot out black water that filled the sky. The water surged in the sky and turned into a black flood dragon that pounced over. On the other side, the people from the Nine Heavens' holy ground snorted coldly and displayed a terrifying skill. An immortal palace condensed in the sky, descending from the sky, wanting to suppress Hu Yidao and Ghostly. Humph! Hu Yidao snorted coldly as he pulled out the full moon scimitar from his waist and slashed out. One blade slashed toward the sky, while the other slashed forward. The two saber lights seemed to have come from the sky, bringing with them an astonishing aura. Boom! As the saber fell, the black flood dragon in the sky was split into two halves. It wailed and scattered in all directions. With another slash, the Nine Heavens' immortal palace above was split into pieces. Boom! 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 As for the two people who had attacked, they were retreating non-stop. Their faces were pale. They looked at this scene and were shocked. Damn it, impossible! How could the other party be so powerful? They were going crazy. Who was the other party? How could they have so many experts? When the other experts saw this scene, they frowned one after another. This immortal palace was not simple at all. On the Black Demon ship, Lin Xian and the others looked at this scene and smiled. Very good. Such an appearance was very suitable for Immortal Palace. It was a good opportunity to intimidate these people. Anyway, Immortal Palace had changed their strategy and did not plan to continue hiding. Whoosh! At this moment, a white light flashed on Lin Xian's shoulder, and the little white monkey jumped out. It looked forward with its big black eyes and blinked excitedly. Wooji wooji! The little white monkey pulled Lin Xian's head and pointed forward anxiously. When Lin Xian saw this, he asked softly, "Why? Is there a treasure in front?" The little white monkey nodded and seemed to be urging Lin Xian. Lin Xian said with a smile, "You little guy, don't you have a treasure bowl? Go get it yourself." Little White puffed up its cheeks and sat on Lin Xian's shoulder. It took off the little broken bowl on its head and mumbled. It looked like a little charlatan. Gradually, its body emitted a white light. Qianfang's small bowl also emitted a mysterious energy. In the next moment, a light flashed and a treasure appeared in the little bowl. It was a jade pendant, but only half of it. The qilin engraved on it was also only half of it. However, there was a savage aura on it. It should be an ancient treasure. Seeing that it was really caught, Lin Xian was surprised. The surrounding people also exclaimed. The little white monkey was very happy and kept clapping its hands. What kind of method was this? Telekinesis? Universe shift? The surrounding Immortal Palace martial artists were also stunned. They had seen the little white monkey before and thought that it was only used for cuteness. They didn't expect it to have such a method. It was simply a sharp weapon for snatching treasures. Lin Xian was also surprised because he realized that this treasure was not simple. It seemed that Little White's strength had increased recently. However, it made sense. After eating so many treasures every day, it would be strange if it didn't grow. Ah, damn it. Who did this to him? Who dares to snatch my treasure? I'll definitely kill him. I don't want to do it. Obediently give me the treasure and kowtow 10 times, and I'll spare your life. Two voices sounded. One was as crazy as a demon king, and the other was as deep as a god. The two voices exploded in the air, shattering the sky. What's going on? What happened? All the surrounding experts were stunned. That was because the voices were too terrifying. In the next moment, they looked around. Soon, they saw countless rays of light rushing out from the distance. Half of the sky turned into black demonic clouds, while the other half was golden, as if a Buddha had descended. Those were the twin kings of Middle Ground. Heavens, who dared to oppose the twin kings of Middle Ground? Were they not afraid of death? Was it those saints and saintesses? Cries of surprise sounded one after another. It seemed that someone had snatched the twin kings' treasures. Those people were too shocked. This was because not long ago, the Central Continent's twin kings had killed a peerless almighty in front of everyone. That method was shocking. Chapter 2409. Golden waves and billowing demonic aura covered the entire sky. This scene attracted everyone's attention. Damn it, who is it that stole my treasure? Was it you? The twin kings were domineering, and they stared at a martial artist. This was also an old man, and he quickly shook his head. However, he was sent flying by the demonic aura in the sky. Was it you? They warned another young man. This young man snorted coldly and ignored them. You're courting death. You're not answering. You're suspicious. The twin kings were furious. The evil one waved his hand, and a black demonic aura appeared and shot forward. The demonic aura was fast and accurate, and it arrived in front of the young man in an instant. Whoosh! The crowd exclaimed. The twin kings of Middle Ground were too domineering, and they attacked without saying anything. Whoosh! The young man's body swayed, and he instantly dodged the terrifying attack. The next moment he looked forward, and his aura suddenly erupted. A terrifying aura rushed out, and its power was no weaker than the twin kings of Middle Ground. Who are you? The twin kings frowned when they felt the other party's aura. Supreme Mystery Sect Taishan Saint. A cold voice sounded. The crowd exclaimed. They did not expect the twin kings of Middle Ground to meet a young saint. Most likely, there would be a world-shaking battle. The crowd was excited. The twin kings of Middle Ground snorted coldly. So what if he was the Taishan Saint? Hurry up and tell me, did you steal my treasure? Humph, do you think I care about your treasure? The Taishan Saint snorted coldly. I'll know if you stole it or not when I see it. The evil one stretched out a black demonic claw and tried to grab him. Seeing this, the Taishan Saint was furious. How dare the other party attack him? The next moment, he waved his hand, and a shocking light lit up the sky. It was like a shocking divine light that rushed up. In an instant the black demonic aura was split open. If you dare to be presumptuous again, don't blame me for being impolite. The Taishan Saint's cold voice sounded. You're courting death. The evil one was furious. The good one said solemnly, Brother, stop. It's not him. He doesn't have the aura of that treasure. Then who was it? Was it you? The evil kid looked in another direction and stretched out his palm. However, in the next moment, a shocking sword chi rushed out and pressed down like a mountain. The two collided in the sky, releasing a shocking aura. What? Someone actually blocked the attack of the Central State Twin Kings. Who is this person? The next moment, everyone cried out in surprise. It was Seiko Dian. It's not him. The virtuous son shook his head. Hearing this, the evil son immediately gave up on his opponent. The next moment he attacked again. In an instant, one figure after another appeared, and the crowd cried out in surprise. Their cries of surprise even shook the entire world. The 10,000 Thunder Holy Sun, Saintess of all beginnings, the 7th Prince of the Skyscraper, the 3rd Prince of Yinshang. One by one, the young geniuses appeared and stood in the void, causing the entire void to distort. These people's eyes were cold. They frowned as they looked at the Central State's Twin Kings. Even though the other party was strong, he was way too brazen, wasn't he? To think that he would dare to strike out at these supreme geniuses one after another. What was he trying to do? For a moment, the atmosphere was incomparably heavy. However, the Twin Kings did not pay any attention to these people. Among them, the virtuous son's eyes suddenly burst out with a piercing cold light. His eyes flickered as he turned his head to look into the distance. There was a large black ship there. Then he said, Brother, I found him. He's on that large black ship. What? A large black ship? Hearing this, the evil son's eyes emitted a piercing cold light, like two black heavenly blades, directly piercing over. The void in front of him broke open, and the evil son's demonic aura surged into the sky. It was as if he had turned into a beautiful demon king. Whoosh! The Twin Kings of Zhongzhou's figure flashed and directly rushed over. Were they going to attack? The Thousand Thunder Saint was standing in that direction. Seeing this scene, his face turned gloomy. Although the Twin Kings of Zhongzhou were powerful, if the other party really wanted to attack, he would not hold back. Boom! An endless sea of lightning surged in his body, and he was about to attack. However, soon he was stunned, because he found that the Twin Kings were very fast, and passed by him in an instant. It seemed that they were not going to attack him, so in the next moment, he suddenly turned around and looked behind him. He wanted to see who the other party was going to attack. He wasn't the only one. The other saints and princes also turned to look. The surrounding powerhouses were also staring intently. In the next moment, they exclaimed in surprise. It was that large black ship. They were attacking that large black ship. Was that the organization that called itself Immortal Palace? Everyone was shocked. However, the 9 Firmaments Divine Emperor and the people of the 5 Elements sect sneered. Let's see what Immortal Palace will do. They'll probably be beaten down in an instant. At that time, I'd like to see if they still have the face to call themselves Immortal Palace. For a moment, everyone was discussing animatedly. On the large black ship, Lin Xian frowned. In front of him, Ghost Li and Hu Yidao shouted coldly, and their auras suddenly erupted. Damn you, stop right there. Ghost Li waved his hand and took out the white bone banner. Boom. Endless vengeful souls and malicious ghosts screamed miserably. The entire space turned into a ghost realm, and everyone's scalps went numb. Hu Yidao, who was at the side, slashed out 3 times. The terrifying saber light tore through the void and formed a fan shape as it slashed forward. How dare you block my way? You're courting death. The evil sun shouted coldly. He raised his hand and slashed forward with the death scythe. The virtuous sun at the side also activated the heavenly treasure Dharma wheel in his hand. Thousands of rays of light shot out like a golden galaxy, dancing in the air. Boom, boom. In the sky, the sound of an intense collision rang out. Terrifying energy exploded and swept out in all directions. After that attack, Ghost Li and Hu Yidao kept retreating. The blood in their bodies was boiling. Zhongzhou's twin kings had only slowed down a little, but they were still flying forward. The difference in strength between that attack was immediately obvious. Seeing that scene, everyone exclaimed in surprise. It had to be said that the twin kings were too powerful. That was because both Ghost Li and Hu Yidao had displayed powerful strength before. They were definitely the top young geniuses. But now, the 2 of them together were unable to stop the twin kings. One could only imagine how terrifying the twin kings were. Damn it! Seeing that, Ghost Li's face darkened. In the next moment, a cold light appeared in his eyes. Whoosh! Whoosh! The black robe on his body suddenly fluttered, and a powerful and terrifying force erupted from his body. It was as if he had turned into a ghost king. Feeling that aura, the evil sun's face changed. However, he still snorted. You dare to compete with me in terms of aura? The virtuous sun at the side shook his head slightly. No, brother, that's not demonic chi but ghostly chi. Chapter 24:10. He cultivates the ghost path. Be careful not to be entangled by those vengeful spirits, lest you have nightmares at night. Although it was a reminder, the virtuous sun was not too worried. He even teased him a little. What ghost chi? Even if he's the ghost king, I can still tear him apart today. The evil sun snorted coldly, his face full of malevolence. The death scythe in his hand became even more terrifying. It brought about a huge shadow as it slashed forward. Ghost Li waved the white bone banner and fought with him. On the other side, Hu Yidao was fighting against the virtuous sun. The 2 of them were also very intense. The battle erupted. It was very terrifying. Everyone watched the battle and discussed animatedly. However, not long after, Ghost Li and Hu Yidao were forced back again. This time, blood flowed from the corners of their mouths. You 2 can't do it. Get the powerhouses on the ship to come down. Otherwise, don't blame me for killing all of you. The evil sun's voice was cold. The others felt their scalps go numb. The twin kings were too terrifying. Perhaps even the saints and saintesses might not be able to defeat them. Damn it, how dare you look down on us? Hearing that, Hu Yidao and Ghost Li were instantly enraged. The 2 of them still had ultimate moves and trump cards that they had yet to use. In the next moment, the 2 of them were furious and were about to attack. On the black demon ship, Peacock also snorted coldly and wanted to attack. However, she was stopped by Lin Xian. This guy is a little special. We just arrived, so we can't fight him head-on. We have to use some special methods. Let me do it, Lin Xian said in a deep voice. Then his figure flashed, and he headed towards the corner below. Whoosh! Soon, he arrived in front of Hui Dao and Ghostly. Seeing another figure come down from the black demon ship, everyone was surprised and discussed animatedly. Is Immortal Palace going to send more people? Previously, when they joined forces with Ghostly to attack the Twin Kings, no one thought much of it. After all, the Twin Kings could be dealt with as 2 people. But now that it was 3 against 2, it was different. Even if they won, it would be an unfair victory. Moreover, these people were all young geniuses and peerless powerhouses. Everyone was incomparably proud. They didn't like this kind of fighting style where they outnumbered their opponents. What Immortal Palace? They actually used despicable human wave tactics. The people from the 5 Elements sect sneered. The martial artists from the 9 Heavens Holy Ground also had a look of disdain on their faces. How dare they compare themselves to the 9 Heavens Holy Ground? The difference was too great. Discussions broke out one after another. However, there were a few people in the crowd who frowned. He didn't even make a sound. This was because they recognized the figure in front of them. Of course, this was only a small number. In the vast sea of martial artists, it was practically negligible. Seeing this scene, the Twin Kings of Zhongzhou were also stunned. Then, the Evil One sneered disdainfully. What? You want to outnumber me? Come on. The 3 of you are not enough. Let's start with 10. I'm going to kill you all today. He was extremely arrogant, and did not put the 3 people in front of him in his eyes at all. I'll give you one last chance to live. Kneel down obediently and hand over our things. The virtuous one said in a deep voice. At this moment, his expression was like that of an enlightened monk, his face full of compassion. However, everyone knew that when the benevolent son took action, he was not merciful at all. Everyone thought that it would be 3 against 2. However, soon they were stunned. This was because when Hui Dao and Ghostly saw Lin Xian coming down, they greeted him respectfully. Boss, we just arrived. There's no need to risk our lives. If you want to fight, you'll have plenty of chances in the future. Lin Xian said calmly. Yes. The 2 of them responded and did not attack again. Seeing this scene, the surrounding people were stunned. What was going on? Wasn't it 3 against 2? Also, who was this young man? How could he make 2 young sky prides so obedient in an instant? For a moment, everyone was speculating about Lin Xian's identity. They were very curious. Could it be that he was another top expert from the Immortal Palace? Come on, hurry up and attack. I'm not afraid of you. The Evil One said coldly. Alright, I'll play with you guys. Lin Xian took a step forward, and the aura on his body became fierce. However, Ghostly and Hui Dao did not attack. The 2 of them retreated, until they were near the black demon ship. What? He wants to fight one-on-one? Seeing this scene, everyone was stunned. They did not expect that it was not 3 against 2. It was a one-on-one. This young man actually wants to fight the Twin Kings one-on-one? Heavens, who exactly is he? I'm afraid that even the saint and saintess would not dare to do this, right? Kid, who are you? The Twin Kings of Zhongzhou's face darkened. They felt humiliated. No one had ever dared to challenge them one-on-one. I'm their boss. The thing you want is in my hands. As Lin Xian said that, he stretched out his hand, and a half-jade pendant appeared. Seeing this, the twin monarchs were thoroughly enraged. Damn it, you really took our things. Kid, you're dead meat. In your next life, be a sensible person. The benevolent son's expression was also cold. You want to kill me? Who do you think you are? How dare you kill me? Lin Xian snorted disdainfully. As soon as this voice came out, everyone around was stunned, and could not believe their ears. Heavens, what is this kid saying? How can he be so arrogant? Could it be that he doesn't know the Twin Kings? That must be the case. Seeing that this kid was in that Immortal Palace, his status should not be low. But they did not expect him to be so arrogant. He did not even know the Twin Kings of Zhongzhou. It seemed that the so-called Immortal Palace was really nothing much. When the Twin Kings of Zhongzhou heard that, they were furious. Among them, the Evil One said coldly, Kid, listen carefully. The Twin Kings of Zhongzhou were invincible in Zhongzhou, and were the strongest prodigies of the younger generation of Zhongzhou. How about it? Do you recognize us now? I'll give you one last chance. Kneel down and accept your death, and I'll give you a quick death. Otherwise, you'll taste the pain of being devoured by 100 ghosts. Twin Kings of Zhongzhou? Hearing that, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. He had heard of that name before. However, he had his own plans. The next moment, he snorted coldly and looked very disdainful. What Twin Kings of Zhongzhou? In my opinion, you're just a two-headed monster. How dare a thing like you, who is neither human nor ghost, come here and make a fool of yourself? Get lost. What? His words were like a bolt from the blue, causing the surrounding people to feel dizzy. Even the saints and saintesses furrowed their brows. Who is this guy? Isn't he too arrogant? He doesn't know what's good for him. They thought that he was a genius, but he turned out to be an idiot. The saints and saintesses snorted coldly. They did not know Lin Xian, so they made that judgment at that moment. However, a few people did not think so. In the void, a woman's body was covered in light and a chaotic aura. She looked very mysterious. Her eyes flickered as she looked ahead and smiled bitterly. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.